All right, Model 3 dude wants to get the party started, so let's do it. Let's do it. Um, Trying to get everything set up here still. We're going to get the voice channel open in Telegram. So we'll have some other folks interacting here. But let's do this first.
Roll another blunt, man.
Afro man. Roll another blunt. That's what I should do. Should.
You full of shit. Full of shit. Full of shit.
I wonder if any of their Chilo stocks were in mid-pump and if their assets were frozen before they could exit. Well, it's a good question. I don't know. I don't know if it's in the document, but a lot of this stuff happened last year. I would assume that they're ongoing with it. I'm also curious how, like, exactly how the SEC got turned on to these guys. But there's some really interesting stuff out there about it. Anyway, let's get this voice channel here. I think we may have Lynn with us tonight. Hopefully, that would be fun. And while we get that going here, boy, AMC credits here. Great. We got the new rules today. So my thing is, the apes won, right? The apes won. The market's more fair. The market's fair now. They win. Gary Gensler made it fair. So, uh, yeah, anyway, not really, but let's see. Okay, so what we've got here is we've got some videos, got some information here. Sorry, I'm not the most prepared, but when am I ever, I guess. Okay, so this is an interesting video. This video is from last year, right? It's from last year.
Perhaps the most infamous Twitter furu, and well, he leans into the title. With over 500,000 followers on Twitter, he definitely
So here he
carries
is,
some
Zach Morris.
weight. And every genuine day trader I've heard from thinks he is a clown pump and dumper who only trades on paper money account and actually doesn't have millions of dollars.
Oh, he doesn't only trade on paper.
When I first heard about him, I ignored him. At one point, he made his Twitter private. Then there were rumors about him being investigated by the SEC and, the usual FinTwit drama. But I thought there might be a little bit more to it, so I decided to dive in a little more, albeit skeptically. Following Zach Morris led me to other traders prominent on Twitter for their sick, nasty gains. There's Gary Trades, for whom a 64
July
day is
21st, 2021.
This one is actually more like it.
I wish I could say that I made this one.
He does try to help new traders out. There's Tommy from the band Breathe Carolina, who grew his account from 34,000 to over 1 million in just this year alone. And Hugh Henney clocking a six-figure day like it's nothing. This can make anyone wonder what on earth they're doing wrong with their trading and make an incredibly solid $500 day feel paltry in comparison. The common denominator with all of these traders is they are part of a Discord server called Atlas Trading. Just about any trader who's had a modicum of success seems to launch a paid Discord group pumping out trade signals, and I've actually joined a handful of these over the past 18 months to see if they actually provide educational value, good trade ideas, and a solid community, which can all be worth the monthly fee of $50.
That's right, Model 3 dudes.
But unlike many others, Atlas is 100% free to join.
So of paper transfer.
I had to join. If these guys are in there trading every day, making absolutely wild profits, why not see what it's all about? And also, I feel like I should mention I have absolutely no affiliation with anyone who runs Atlas. I'm sure they don't have any idea of who could not care less.
That's a really good thing.
This video because it's pretty prominent in the trading space, and it's also super polarizing. A lot of love, a lot of hate, and I honestly don't know where I stand with it. And that's all. Let's get back to the video. So this Discord is absolutely massive, not just in member size, which is well over 200,000 people, but also the amount of channels. It can be absolutely overwhelming. Between small caps, large caps, crypto, and education, there are well over 60 channels to navigate between. Most of the action during the trading day happens in the small caps chat rooms, which small cap stocks
go figure
favorite among a lot of these Twitter gurus that I've come across.
Among pump and dumpers,
aren't household names
pumpers and
like
dumpers.
RCAT, VRPX, and AHPI. Now, a lot of these small cap stocks also have a low float, which means they don't have a lot of tradable shares out there. Take Tesla,
What, you
for
mean
instance,
less
which has a
than
float of
575
million.
15
That's
million?
a lot of freaking shares. Now compare that to VRPX, which has a float of about 2 million. This means if VRPX sees an uptick in trade volume, the price can move really fast due to the limited number of shares available. So if you run a Discord server with tens of thousands of people who are looking to you to know which stocks to play, well, you could load up on VRPX shares, send out an alert, and then sell it a few seconds later once hundreds of people start buying into it. That's what pumping and dumping is all about. Now, whether or not that's what Zach Morris and the other pro traders are doing here, I don't really want to speculate. Zach and others will post losses on their plays every now and then, so they're not all winners. To Zach's credit,
well, we'll see about that. Very crafty.
Back in January, he was posting about AMC when it was under $3.
How about that? Posting about AMC when it was under $3.
And from what we can tell, he loaded up pretty heavy. On January 27th, the day the stock hit $20, he posted his daily P&L showing over $21 million in profits. Now, do I believe it? Yeah, actually I do. A lot of people made a lot of money on AMC and GameStop at this time. So if you had the account size and conviction, you
could hello.
So while the general public doesn't know his real identity, I did listen to his podcast on pennies going in raw, which is actually hosted by Hugh and another Atlas member. And Zach did talk about his old day job, working on new home construction, and his growth as a trader.
Oh yeah, Tony. Sorry,
didn't see Discord because he
say hi to you, sir. Tony and Manny.
He does like helping other people make money. So honestly, despite what most people think,
you're not first, you're last.
Pump and dumper. I do think he is actually a good trader. And while he does get a lot of hate from any bag holders,
could you hold on to this bag?
I mean, money on any of his trade ideas, it does seem like people are making money from his plays and other plays by Atlas moderators. I'm not entirely sure how. The server is kind of like a hodgepodge free-for-all of Wall Street bets.
I think you're actually sixth, Roscoe, but hey, who's counting?
Clear-cut strategy that these guys are using other than playing these small-cap stocks that usually gap up in the morning and then have unusual amount of trading volume. So I decided to hop into Morris's call-outs to try it out. He tends to buy stocks that he thinks are undervalued and then hold them until they pop off.
Christmas surprise,
or several weeks.
December surprise.
He also scalps, going in and out really quickly. So first, I bought AHT, which is a REIT, and I believe it was a reopening play. Zach was expecting a break of $10, but it never happened. I did make a nice little profit buying 1,000 shares on June 2nd for $5.87.
June 2nd?
A week later, I bought another 1,000 shares for $6.97, hoping to see it break 7.
What's up, Reed?
Lost momentum, and I sold at $6.78 for a profit of $725.28. AHT then did a 10-to-1 reverse split, and the stock price dumped back below $2. The other play I took was Wish. It did seem like a really undervalued stock, so I played a mixture of shares and call options. I did pretty well on the stock except for my call option trade that I swung into July, so overall I did lose about $151. That being said, I still think it's undervalued, and once I find some support, I will consider buying shares again.
Remember, this video is from last July, so disregard everything he says about any stocks.
Like Tesla, Nvidia, and Amazon. I almost always avoid stocks that don't have options available, so a lot of this small cap momentum trading that a lot of the big traders in Atlas do just doesn't fit my strategy. But with that being said, I have tried it out, hanging out in the Discord server during market hours to look for plays and see if that style of trading works for me, because I honestly haven't really locked in my trading style and strategy. When the mods find a small cap stock they like, they call it out, and when it dips, they'll usually buy them up, and sometimes these stocks break out, and other times they just fizzle out, which I suppose is the nature of trading small cap stocks. You're expected to manage your own trade since they don't often alert when they exit, which is fine, but I feel like a lot of new traders who don't have a firm grasp on technicals end up bag holding.
Oh yeah, you could say that again. You could say that again.
You're expected to manage your own trade since they don't often alert when they exit, which is fine, but I feel like a lot of new traders who don't have a firm grasp on technicals end up bag holding. In general, it seems most of the people are using the same type of scanners from Trade Ideas, so you could probably find some of these small cap breakout plays on your own, but it certainly doesn't hurt to have other people calling out potential moves. So like I said, I did try my hand at this style of trading this past week, and honestly, it was kind of fun. I ended up having a win rate of about 67%.
Well, it was fun in summer of 2021.
Usually going in with 500.
It was definitely fun then.
Small cap stocks. One thing I don't
fun now
about it is I have no idea what any of these companies do, and as a quick day trade, I don't really.
None of it's fun now.
But if you do get in a tough spot and you want to swing the position overnight, there's a good deal of risk. A lot of these small cap stocks pop on news and then sell off over the rest of the day, so the next day the price could be 25% lower.
I think what he means, Lynn, is you know, um, if you don't think if your idea of technical analysis is diamond hand this, just diamond hand it until it goes to the moon, you're probably going to end up losing money. That's my sense
The day
anyway.
you entered. Basically, it can be a little tricky to lock down the
What
right
kind of technical signals do you look for when you're exiting a position, Scott? Well, diamond hands to the moon. So, I'm a
strategy
bag
if you're
holder.
not experienced with this kind of trading. One of the most important aspects of any trading Discord is education. If they aren't teaching you anything and just calling out tickers and alerts, that's not really helping you become a better trader. And honestly, Atlas
I
does have a
agree.
pretty extensive
I
education
100% agree
section,
with that.
from patterns.
I've never been interested in this like call outs, monkey see, monkey do type of thing. Um, excuse me, because I feel like most people don't really take the concepts out of it, and the providers of the alerts, they're not really. I mean, at least from what I've seen, they're not really pulling out teaching moments from it because they want you to remain dependent on their alert service, which is a subscription fee. First rule of business, you want the customer to pay you money. So uh, I suspect that that's probably why. But um, I had several people, and I read in a lot of resources when I was getting into trading a few years back, and that was one thing that a lot of people told me. Don't bother with those alerts. You're not gonna ever buy or sell at the same time they do because you're reacting. You're always gonna be late. How late is up, you know, is a factor, but um, you never know when you're gonna get those random alerts. And then also, you don't learn anything from it. It's just you're just okay. He says to buy this, I'm buying it. And if they don't signal a close the trade or sell signal, then you have to know, you know, like they said, those enough technical, enough chart reading um, to kind of be able to gauge when like the move is coming to an end. Now, I mean, nobody catches the top or bottom perfectly all the time or ever. Some people do sometimes, but uh, nobody catches it always every time. I suppose unless you're a pumper dumper. Anyway, um, but even then, it may be actually hard to do that. So anyway,
To indicators to ebooks to YouTube videos, there's a lot to go through and learn from. One of the mods that I actually think really cares about teaching people is Ripster. He's constantly posting solid tips, charts with what to look for, and he calls out a ton
when I say alert providers, I mean like Atlas Trades and like Roach Capital, the influencers who put out the alerts. They grasp a dick. Yep. Quacks like a duck indicator, then never get in that stock or take profits early. That's a good one. Do they have that on TradingView?
of plays throughout the day, usually well before it really takes off, giving people plenty of chance to take the trade. He isn't
Ripster.
very flashy and isn't posting photos of him with Rolexes, but he is a great trader who puts a lot
Very
of
true.
effort into teaching people for free. There's also
I'm not sure that anybody on here really could be considered a great trader, but okay.
Rocket Catchin' Bob, who has a helpful YouTube channel, Incredible Bob, and Brady, who streams on Twitch.
Oh
Honestly,
yeah,
I would recommend that new people avoid the trading rooms and just
Sham Investor, aka Bam Investor, and his Anemoy um, model, uh, which I mean I don't even know. Is it actually? I mean I've looked at it before, but is it a model? I mean like I know he calls it a model, and it's the behavioral analysis of markets model. Um, all I ever see is like a chart with lines on it. He talks about vibration zones, which is a William Gann concept, which I actually like. I like the concept of vibration zone of vibration, resonance, that type of stuff. There's definitely I think some validity to those types of things and impulsive moves and you know, uh, harmonics, wave harmonics. How about that? Anyway, yeah, sham investor. Last year I made a, I wish I could remember the the URL. I made a parody of a parody website on like a WordPress site of the BAM website. I'll see if I can find it here.
Just use the server for the educational resources. There's hundreds of hours of material you can go through to get a really solid foundation for your trading. So I think it's clear that some people in Atlas are making a lot of money. The question I have is, what percentage of those actively taking those Atlas trades are also making money apart from the mods? A lot of people posted Twitter thanking the pro traders of Atlas for helping them make a lot of money, so I assume there must be plenty of people out there who have learned to trade profitably from that group, but I'm still not fully sold. It's kind of weird because when I set out to write this video, I didn't expect to have a very favorable review of this corner of the FinTwit world, but the more I analyzed everything, the more I realized that there actually is a lot you can learn here for free. The issue becomes when you see the six-figure daily P&Ls, the kohrs, and the Rolexes.
We're going to get into this
follow whichever trading guru into
actual
trades
situation here in a moment.
Because one, you don't know their strategy or their risk tolerance. And
BAM, the scam. BAM is back. He comes back at like the most opportune times too. Like all these fucking clowns.
Someone better, someone making more money than you, so it's best not to focus on comparison. If there's anything I've learned from trading over the past year and a half,
don't focus on comparisons with your trading or your eggplants.
Super difficult, and most people don't start being consistently profitable for several years. But like I said in a previous video, if something is free, chances are you are paying for it in some way or another. While there is some value to be found on servers like Atlas, please don't blindly follow any play without a plan. There's no doubt that a server with over 200,000 people could move a low float stock, so while I did find some good there, I do remain skeptical overall. If I had a 7-figure account, I could easily make $10,000 off of a 10-cent move of a low float stock, so just keep that in mind and be cautious. Now, if you want to try trading the same stocks that any gurus on Discord or Twitter or wherever are trading, start with a super small amount, even just one share. Stick to a strategy, maybe that's setting a stop loss under a moving average or support, and then taking profit at the next level of resistance. Just stay disciplined.
On a motherfucking Wednesday, okay.
Incredibly low stakes.
So here's some trading
Track
tips.
Your trades,
Stay disciplined.
And then when you have a win rate of over 80% or so while keeping the losses to a minimum, you can then increase your position size. Just take your time to get a better grasp on how these stocks move, what patterns they tend to follow, etc. Well, that's all for this video. I gotta wake up in 7 hours to find the next small cap banger, but if you would hit the thumbs up button on this video if you enjoyed it, consider subscribing to my channel.
I mean, you know, it was a pretty good video. So he updated here with a pinned comment. The SEC has sued the Atlas guys for manipulating stocks. Let's see if this is the same document I already have pulled up here. Yep, it is. Yeah, exactly the same. Okay. So, yeah, so we have total analysis of markets. Total analysis of markets. And here's some whole shit I did last year. I mean, these were the days, right? Why this is screwy, but look at that. 61% dark pool volume, 20-day average. Wow. That was cool. Short volume percentages. Right. Also, link to my old YouTube channel. Let's see if it works. Ah, are you kidding me? Yeah, no, I'm not. Spam, deceptive practices, and misleading content. I mean, that is really funny. Really, really funny. I don't know if it's one of those things where I got mass reported because I was really relentless in calling out some of these assholes, or if and yes, I did. I had an excess of time last summer. I'm not gonna lie, I did. That's why I started this channel. Without an excess of time, I wouldn't be here, probably. So anyway, it was fun. I guess it's fun, but so I don't know if I got mass reported or if the algo came across something and I was talking about one of these scammers, and the algo interpreted it as I was saying it, which they really should fix that. I would think Google would be smart enough to fix that. But anyway, I don't know. Yep. Read. That's exactly right. Yep. So I don't know. I suspect I'll never know really what happened or why that happened. But yeah, it wasn't really great. However, there's always a redemption. What you call it? There's always a rebound. So I restarted a channel, and about I don't know, couple weeks later, and the growth on that channel, this channel, was way faster. Um, I think probably because of what was happening to AMC. When I was doing it before, I mean, it was July, August. It was still, decent. So everybody was like, "Oh, well, you're obviously hedging. I'll come back when I'm a millionaire and laugh at you some more and insult you some more for just trying to get me to think." And that's all I'm trying to do is get people to think, and maybe, not hand over so much money to the market. Because does the market really need more money? Does it need everybody's money? I don't know. Maybe it does. The name of the closed channel was simply Scotty. It was just Scotty. And I wish that I wish that I had a. This is lamentable. I wish I hadn't deleted all the master copies of my old videos. Oops. Was trying to save space on the hard drive, and I got a little click happy, and I went ahead and got rid of, because they're on YouTube. Why do I need to keep the MP4 files or whatever on my computer? They're huge. And got rid of all the original footage and scratch files and all that stuff too. So um, I don't think they should get censored, but at least give an equal reach to some counterpoints so it's not all nonstop perma bullish hopium. I mean, I can agree with the equal reach to some counterpoints. The problem is, one of the problems is that there has to be somebody who's willing to take that side of the trade, so to speak, right? We don't have market makers on YouTube who are holding or ready to take the unpopular side of a topic. So I guess that sort of makes me a market maker. I guess I don't know, not really, but that's what it is. It's an analogy, right? This this subscriber base here on this channel, I feel, can get analogies. You got to be careful when you're talking to other larger channels subscriber bases, uh, because about analogies or percentages. I mean, really, seriously, percentages, Conce- conceptual ideas, abstract ideas. But this channel's subscribers are, I think, beyond that. So we learned about percentages 35 years ago. Is it on the Wayback Machine? No, it's not. It's not. I looked. And the Wayback, I mean, I can look again, but I'm pretty sure, I mean, it wasn't then. I don't know how it would be now. And a lot of the times, things like YouTube or database heavy sites, uh, they don't really function properly on the Wayback Machine because the database that contained all that stuff in the past is different now, I guess theoretically. Let's see here. I definitely had a channel here. 910 snap. I mean, that's crazy. I don't know what good this would be if you couldn't get old stuff, but I mean, maybe I'm wrong about that. I mean, I've definitely had that happen before where, God, like 2 or 3 snapshots a minute, but it's not snapshotting every channel or every page. So I'm not sure. I did try to find it though, with to no avail. Like it's showing me stuff from 2 days ago, but what does that mean? Is that 2 days? And I don't even know if I can. I guess I can. Let's see. Yeah, it's not even letting me search. Okay, maybe I could just take the link. I know this is a distraction. Um, I do have the link here. This is the link, so maybe I can just search for that on Web Archive. Oh, really? One snapshot? 2 snapshots. Interesting. And that's early in the channel, August, middle of August. So I don't know. Wow. I would be really surprised if an actual video is here or if it, and especially if it would play. Oh, there it is. Oh my God. Oh, wow. I'm feeling, look, Lynn, AMC, a haiku. Remember the haikus we used to have? Wow. Getting all nostalgic and shit here now. So yeah, this is it. So these people, there are a lot of people who might have doubted the fact that I you know, actually did have a previous YouTube channel, but wow, actual proof. Now, see, I can't even go to the about tab, seemingly. I don't know why it goes to Nemo Production. It's not me. But and I'm sure that so this was a good video. I mean, there's no way. There's no way. YouTube deleted it. Fuckers. I mean, it says there's one capture on this video. Oh man, what a way to what a what a tease that was. Wow. I don't even know. I don't think these. Yeah, these comments are not for my video. Look at this. Yeah, I don't. This is. It's talking about a W.C. Fields piece. Somebody put orange juice in my orange juice 3 years ago, 2 years ago. Definitely no. But anyway, that's right. Yeah. So anyway, wow. Okay, that's fun. I'm gonna bookmark this sucker. Check that out later. All right. So anyway, the most fractally wrong take on the Citadel 13F. Not bashing, just facting. Anyway, wow. I can't get over that. Wow. That's that's crazy. Okay. So I have a news article here, what you call it, media article from the Albany Herald. Albany Herald. It's okay, Lynn. It's all right, Lynn. You know, when it went down, did you still have the subscriber list? Good question. That's all I got right there. And it's not having me signed in because it's on way back, I guess. See if I can get the video list. I think it just, I was going to Nemo Production. What the heck is that? Nemo Production. I have no idea who this is or why it says, I don't know. You can't see that. It's in the title of the tab. But anyway, yeah, as soon as I click it, it says Scotty now. I click videos, it goes to Nemo Production. Playlists doesn't do anything. Channels doesn't do anything. And about goes to Nemo Production. So it's very odd, but it's fascinating and kind of cool. So does it just save a snap of the page or the files too? I think it's just a snap of the page. It doesn't actually save the files. Now, it said though that they have not archived the video. So I don't know. I'll look into it later and see. But here's the Albany Herald, and they say SEC charges FinTwit bros in $100 million pump and dump scheme. So this was updated 7 hours ago today. Tony Owusu, I guess, wrote this. The bros from the Atlas Trading Discord channel are in deep trouble with the SEC for using their collective social media followings on Twitter to manipulate stocks. Social media can be a place for invaluable resources and information for novice investors new to the market. Probably, I guess. Twitter is a platform where some of the brightest minds, da 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 da. There's also the other side of Twitter, where charlatans with large followings take advantage of newbies and the classic Wall Street game of big fish eats little fish, according to a new Securities and Exchange Commission complaint. Quote, the defendants used social media to amass a large following of novice investors and then took advantage of their followers by repeatedly feeding them steady diet of misinformation, which resulted in fraudulent profits of approximately $100 million, said Joseph Sansoni, chief of the SEC. No, it wasn't muted. My cord came out. My microphone cord came out. Shit. Whoops. It's the second time I've done that today. First time you didn't know about, I don't think, because I caught it right away. But anyway, let's see if I can prevent that from happening again. So I don't know where I was. Oh yeah, I said I wasn't familiar with any of these guys either before yesterday. However, um, what I've been trying to do with this is look at, take a step back, uh, you know, conceptually, or just, take these guys out of the equation, take the stocks that they pumped out of the equation, and just look at what did they say that they did wrong? What is the behavior? What are the things that they did, actions, and pull those things out of it, and think about it in a different context, a different quote unquote different context. So I'll just remind everybody, I have the voice channel over in Telegram active. So Lynn, I don't know where you are, or Bad Back, or anybody really. If you would like to come on the stream and chit chat, just join the voice channel in Telegram. Do it, do it. So we'll keep going through this here a little bit here. So they charged this Daniel Knight guy with aiding and abetting the alleged fraud scheme by co-hosting a podcast in which he promoted other individuals as expert traders, providing them with with quote a forum for their manipulative statements. Okay, so the alleged scheme: the defendants would allegedly purchase certain stocks, then encourage their social media followers to buy those selected stocks by posting price targets or indicating that they were buying, holding, or adding to their positions, in a scheme that began in at least January 2020. However, when share prices and/or trading volumes rose in the stocks they promoted, the individuals would sell their shares without disclosing their actions. Okay, I'm going to highlight that. A classic pump and dump. The SEC complaint, which is filed in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Texas, seeks permanent injunction, disgorgement, disgorgement, uh, forfeiture of profits from the scheme, prejudgment interest, and civil penalties from each of the 8 accused individuals. Tony says he doesn't think it's going to hold in court because there wasn't forced to buy the stock. They did it on their own voluntarily. And the issue, Tony, is not that people bought the stock. It really, that's irrelevant, I think. Like, even if nobody bought the stock, these guys still violated the rules. Think about it. Providing misinformation, does that depend on anybody acting on that misinformation? It's still misinformation. Maybe everybody was smart enough to see through it. They didn't fall for it. That doesn't make it not a scam, right? So the way I see it, I don't, I mean, I think you're right. There wasn't force. I mean, you're obviously right. There wasn't force to buy the stock. They did it on their own. They did do it on their own. But would they have known about it if somebody had lied to them about it? So the way they found out about it is somebody lied and said, "Hey, this stock that's trading for 30 cents, we got a $10 price target on it, guys, and we're adding more and more and more. And this thing's hot." So I think that's the issue, is more their statements and how those statements reflect the truth or not. And I think that, that holds for AMC too. It's a bit different of a situation, but um, similar nonetheless. So I don't know if that makes sense. I mean, I don't know how other people feel about that, how that idea. I know we've talked about that before, and it's true. Everybody is responsible for their own positions and making sure that they do their research. Um, However, you can't put out false information, right? Knowingly or unknowingly, whether you know it's false or not, you have a responsibility to either get the information, the accurate information, and put it out, or don't put anything out. And that's where I say all these clowns, these AMC pumpers, meme stock pumpers, all these idiots, they shouldn't be doing it. I mean, I guess that's a pretty basic thing, but I mean, they 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 should not, and I say that frequently too. This guy has no business talking about this. I think I've said that probably 2 dozen times in the last year and a half. This guy has no business talking about this. What is he doing? He doesn't know what he's talking about. Not that we're experts, but we're a pretty good judge of, hey, is that credible information? Or we can go look it up and see if it's credible. Is there any evidence that's been presented? These type of things. So I'm not sure it will really matter in court, um, because also, um, what it says right here, that they are seeking disgorgement, which is basically forfeiting profit. So they're alleging that, or the SEC is alleging that these guys lied about this stuff and provided misinformation. As a result of that misinformation and people buying into the stock, it's not so much like, oh, people are going to get their money back. Well, probably not. But, theoretically, the pumpers profited from the people that believed their misinformation. So they bought the stock, and that money went to these pumpers. That is ill-gotten gain, ill-gotten gains, and you know they should have to give it back. They should have to return it. I don't know if it would be in the form of a fine, or if it would be returned to the individual investors. I don't see how that would be. I don't know though. I don't know though. And it's kind of, it's not that far off from the FTX SBF thing. You know, you got a bunch of people that were lied to, allegedly, hypothetically, allegedly, supposedly, and they, as a result, like, put a bunch of money into this platform, and now it's gone. So people did bad things. Let's see, Chilo says, do you think that more reputable companies, Motley Fool, Seeking Alpha, CNBC, also do similar pumps? A lot of the articles seem like they were written by Fiverr. Um, well, I mean, the thing is, I- maybe. I mean, we could look at some articles like that, but the thing is, most of the time, at least from my experience, it seems like those articles, they refer to the facts, but they might spin it a different way, or it might be strictly an opinion piece, which is different. We're not talking about, like, somebody saying, "Hey, I think that this could do this because, I don't know, something that's obviously an opinion, because I think that, movie theaters are going to do better in the future," or something like that. To me, I think that's different. And it's clearly an opinion, um, and it's not being presented as like an urgent, like, hey, you need to know this because this opportunity is coming, and it's not going to be forever, which in and of itself is a lie. That's a lie. That it's an opportunity, that a short-lived opportunity you have. That in and of itself was a lie. So let's see. Uh, um, I don't know if they do pumps in the same way. Like the alpha trading guys have a Discord that had 200,000 people in it. I don't know how that compares. I mean, I'm sure more people probably look at a Motley Fool article, maybe. I guess I don't know. But I think like in a forum or chat room type of uh setting, um, it's probably going to get more engagement. What about the code that says there's no excuse of an ignorance of the law? This is the same thing. Um, I guess I'm not sure. I mean, well, let me just say this. This is a civil suit. So the SEC, they do civil suits. They're just trying to get them, they're just trying to get the money and maybe prevent these guys from doing this again and wage some penalties on them, plus interest, of course. Um, but you know, yeah, I mean, ignorance of the law is no excuse. Ignorance of the law, doesn't make you not subject to the law. So I was driving 45 miles an hour and I got pulled over and the cop said, "Do you know why I pulled you over?" I said, "No, I'm just making this up, but something similar happened to me once." And well, I got you going 45 and then speed limit's 25. That's news to me. I didn't see a sign. Oh, there's a sign right back there. Oh, okay, officer. I'm sorry. Whatever. Went back later, next day, whatever. There is no sign. There's no sign. Missing. Got knocked down. I don't know. There's no sign. I still got a ticket. So yeah, I mean, it's not. It is your responsibility, to know what you can and can't do, and that applies to these guys too. What are you talking about here? Um, they're all owned by Virtu, Kenny, and the other hedge funds. It's all corrupt. So we're at that point in the market, huh, where everything's corrupt. Everybody says everything's corrupt and it's rigged and it's a scam and whatnot. That's a stage of the bear market, I think. It's one of the bear market stages. I've been seeing that a lot. Um, but I mean, I think I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if this is true or not. And I don't care. And to be honest, I mean, it's you don't even have to say that they're owned by hedge funds. I mean, it's mainstream media, right? Who cares? Who cares what mainstream media? I mean, mainstream media is propaganda. Period. So why would you even worry about it? I don't know. I don't think that's a law or statute protecting dummies of ignorance. Again, it's not. I mean, well, there are certainly laws that protect people. Um, because a lot of times people don't know things, especially like something like finance and the stock market. There's a lot of stuff that, you know, new participants don't know. Like look at the apes, they don't know anything. And they're not even new. They're n- they, like they think that synthetic shares is like there's billions of synthetic shares in AMC. The SEC knows about it and they're allowing it to happen because they're all owned by Virtu, Kenny, and the other hedge funds. It's all corrupt. I mean, that could be an opinion. That could be an opinion. I mean, it's an uninformed opinion, but it's not informed by the facts. But, I mean, somebody who the day before was playing Pokemon Go on their phone and now they're trading stocks on Robinhood. I mean, I think most people would agree that it's better to have more participants. The more participants in a market, the higher the quality it is. It's better. Um, and it's good for people to be engaged in their personal finance and their future. Um, but I mean, I think we can all think about things that we learned about in the market that, either we had a preconception of it that was incorrect, or we didn't even know about it at all. Like, oh, I have never heard about that. Really, you know, and it's like one of those things that the more you learn, the more you learn that there is to learn. And when you're new, you don't know what you don't know. And so you're at the top of Mount Stupid, also known as Dunning-Kruger. Anyway, Manny's planning to buy Virtu stock after establishing position in BlackRock. Good. It's probably a good move. But just going back to this here, um, in all seriousness, people are operating at different levels. And it's hard to know, where somebody might be on that. We don't expect, you know, people to necessarily have to. I mean, by the same token, Tony, you could say that about Bernie Madoff, right? His investors did not know they were part of a Ponzi scheme. They didn't know that. They were ignorant about that. They saw a guy who was making quite large returns. I mean, maybe that should have been a red flag, and maybe it was for some people, but nonetheless, they gave him their money, and everything was good. There's no way anybody could have known that, but that doesn't, the fact that those people bought into a scam on their own, free will, even though there was potentially no way of knowing it, um, that doesn't change the fact that what he did was illegal and wrong. So I think it's just thinking, I'm thinking about what the influencers are doing rather than what people did as a result of what the influencers said. Because I don't think that is really, I mean, you're talking about, yeah, they made $100 million. Do we know that they made it from the people who were in the Discord? They put this stuff out on Twitter too. So it went out to the general public, and then other people retweeted it and stuff. So they just put out information and people bought it. Some people are always going to buy everything, So if I, if I get on the roof with a rifle, and get, and sight people in the crosshairs as they walk down the street, and point my rifle at them and play like I'm gonna shoot them, you know, but not shoot them, and they don't know about it. They never knew that I had them right there. I could have taken the shot. They never know that. I think the police are still going to be interested in talking to me, even though I had no interaction with these people at all. It doesn't change the fact that what I did was probably not legal and something that we want people doing in society. So anyway, I don't know. I hope that makes sense. And yeah, I mean, I don't personally. I think that. Well, let's just keep going here. It got dark fast. I know. I this is a first thing that came to mind because, well, let's be honest, I live in the United States. So how is that not a perfect example? I don't know. Anyway, um, and unless you're Donald Trump, and in which case you could literally shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and nobody would care. Okay, preying on the ignorant. The group fashioned themselves as Wall Street insider. Okay, so here we go. This is more fraud. The group fashioned themselves as Wall Street insiders who were bringing the secret knowledge they gained from trading floors to the masses through their free Discord group, Atlas Trading. But in secret conversations on Discord voice chats that they believed were private, but which were actually being recorded, the group revealed their true intentions, according to investigators. The following alleged conversation was included in the complaint. Knight, get caught. We're robbing fucking idiots of their money. Cooperman, like what he does is he alerts it, and then like 5 minutes later, all his little minions start like retweeting it and saying added with him. So it like builds the hype back up. It happens every single time. They have their shit down to a fucking science. It's crazy. I mean that's pretty insidious. That is pretty insidious. Holy crap. All his little minions. That is crazy. Wow. Today's action, quote, today's action exposes the true motivation of these alleged fraudsters and serves as another warning that investors should be wary of unsolicited advice they encounter online. I mean, you could even take the ape adage, why do you care about my money? And I don't think that we do really care about anybody's money. I would say that we care about like people who are doing fraud shouldn't be. So here's the actual complaint or document. Um, we can just look at the little bit of the summary here. To their legions of followers on social media, that these defendants have promoted themselves as trustworthy stock picking gurus. In reality, they're just seasoned stock manipulators. They identify stocks ripe for manipulation, acquire substantial positions, and then recommend those stocks as good investments. Their Twitter followers on online stock trading forums they run and on podcasts. They encourage their followers to purchase the selected stocks, often claiming that they likewise have bought or intend to buy these stocks for themselves and hold them. Instead, the defendants sell their shares into the demand that their deceptive promotions generate. I mean, it sounds a little bit familiar. Let's see, just going through that here. Violations, it says that Section 17A of the Securities Act of 1933. Okay. Section 10B of the Securities Exchange Act of 34. And Rule 10B. Knight, aided and abetted unless restrained and enjoined, will continue to aid and abet these violations. So, yeah, Knight was the guy who was not part of Atlas Trading, but he worked with them. So they're seeking a permanent injunction, enjoining them from engaging in transactions, acts, practices, and courses of business of the type alleged in this complaint. Disgorgement of all ill-gotten gains from the unlawful conduct set forth in this complaint, together with prejudgment interest, civil penalties pursuant to 20D of the Securities Act and 21D3 of the Exchange Act, and other such relief as the court may deem appropriate. The commission further seeks an order barring Avarton from participating in any offering of a penny stock pursuant to Section 20G and 20D. Jurisdiction. So they have jurisdiction. Certain of the acts, practices, transactions, and courses of business alleged in this complaint occurred within the Southern District of Texas. They were affected directly or indirectly by making use of means or instrumentalities of transportation or communication in interstate commerce, or the males. 4 defendants reside in Southern Texas, where they communicated with co-defendants uh, in furtherance of the fraud scheme and made numerous false and deceptive statements as described herein. So I'm not going to go through all these guys specifically. Um, I put the link to this complaint, this document is in the description of the video. So if you want to actually look at everything in it, it's there. Here's a summary of the scheme. The defendants engaged in a long-running fraudulent scheme to manipulate securities by publishing false and misleading information. Publishing false and misleading information in online stock trading forums, on podcasts, and through their Twitter accounts. The primary defendants, aided and abetted by Knight, engaged in a pattern of conduct, sometimes referred to as scalping, in which they recommended the purchase of a particular stock without disclosing their intent to sell. They generally executed their scheme in 3 phases. First, one or more of the primary defendants identified a security to manipulate. They call that the selected stock, and purchased shares of that security. By sharing the name of the selected stock among some or all of the group, the defendants provided each other with the opportunity to purchase shares at lower prices prior to the manipulation. Next, they promoted the stock to their followers on podcasts and social media platforms in order to generate demand and inflate the price. Typically, the primary defendants announced price targets, teased upcoming news about the company, and or stated their intention to buy shares or hold their current position for longer periods. So, price targets, upcoming news about the company, and intention to buy and or hold shares for longer periods of time. Does that sound familiar? Finally, after promoting the stock to their followers in these ways, the primary defendants sold their shares into the demand. Um, In order to cover up their scheme and continue perpetuating it, the primary defendants at various points deleted old tweets and Discord chats and lied to their followers about the reasons why particular stock picks were followed by declines in the prices of those stocks, obscuring their own roles and causing losses among their followers and other retail investors. None of the primary defendants disclosed that they were either planning to sell or were actively selling a selected stock while recommending that their followers buy it. Nor did any of the primary defendants disclose that they were coordinating with each other to manipulate the price and volume of the trading in the stocks they were promoting. Moreover, okay, this is interesting. Moreover, the primary defendants' deception extended beyond their omission and outright lies about their intentions regarding and views about the securities they were promoting. For instance, for instance, sometimes they peddled false or misleading news about particular stocks through social media or podcast interviews. On some occasions, the primary defendants lied about losing money on a particular stock when in reality they had profited handsomely in order to generate trust among their followers. Trust was that Trust that was necessary to perpetuate the scheme and ensure that their followers would continue to purchase shares based on their future recommendations. Indeed, in private chats and surreptitiously recorded conversations, they bragged and laughed about making profits at the expense of their followers. They talk about loading up on the stock. Let's see what we got here. A lot of them right now have Discord groups charging fees to get info on stocks. Yeah, and um, what is the quality of that information? That's what I would want to know. Is it worth paying for, or is it are these people on the list YouTubers or companies that are getting sued? These are individuals. They're individuals. Let's see, Edward Constantine, Perry Matlock, Thomas Cooperman, Gary Deal, Mitchell Hennessy, and Stephen Vartan, Daniel Knight, and John Rybarczyk. So those guys, yeah, they're individuals. Individuals. Um, so let's see here. So it talks about they promoted stocks through 3 channels, online stock trading forums, So this is like Atlas Trading, their Discord. Podcasts. So this one called Pennies Going in Raw. They promoted Atlas and all of the defendants, and Twitter. Each of the defendants amassed substantial numbers of followers on Twitter where they regularly post about stocks they are manipulating. Talked about the term FinTwit. Okay, here's another interesting part. The defendants each included disclaimers, and we've talked about these disclaimers before, how useless they are. The defendants each included disclaimers on their Twitter accounts that they were not providing stock recommendations or financial advice, but they intended for their followers to act on their promotional tweets and understood that their followers would do so. Constantine, for example, acknowledged in an interview, quote, I understand that if I call something, everybody and their mom is going to buy. That expectation is reflected in hundreds of tweets by the defendants. So here's some examples of these tweets. This is the kind of emotional manipulation. If you didn't bank with the gang today, then I don't know what's wrong. Gave this alert on Twitter and Sapphire Trading Discord. Hope everyone banked on this one. Did exactly what I said. Support entries and then new high of day. Didn't want to just keep talking about it. All right, goblins, I'm out for the day. Everyone should have banked with me on the initial EXPR call at 5:15 or on the dip entry a second ago. I'll never get sick of pumping money into my followers' bank accounts. Let's all get rich, etc. Every single member of Atlas admin have the same goal to get as many people away from the 9-to-5 slavery and into the area of financial freedom and FU money. Our gains, but seeing stories of others paying off debt and banking is much more rewarding. Okay. So they regularly promoted their own stock trading success. This is where it diverges from the AMC narrative, because the AMC influencers, they act like they have stock trading success, but I can't really name one of them that I know to be actually a decent trader. I can't tell you. I have no clue. And in fact, most of the stuff that I've seen on all of them, most of them, they show these ridiculously stupid positions that that they end up losing money on, because you can look at it and see, why would you do that? Also, the price went the opposite way. It's just ridiculous. Like, remember when Trey bought calls on Netflix, or it was Netflix, right? Or was it Nvidia recently? I don't know, right before he rage quit. So, they promoted this success and the substantial wealth it brought them, along with the success of individuals who followed their advice in order to further their scheme and encourage their followers on social media to act on their recommendations. For example, just a couple of these examples. Decent day for the swings. Had to deal with something personal as early this morning, but working on a few new winners. Had a blast. An hour, blah, blah, blah. $1 million in under a year trading stocks. Atlas has the most self-made millionaires. We do not even know the names, the people that consider us their competition. We're the 85 bears. No one survives. Okay. So get some sleep tonight, gang. Tomorrow we continue the journey to you becoming a fucking millionaire. Bring your fucking shoes. 4,000, excuse me, $4,000 a day makes you a millionaire. And of course, the McLaren. Let's see. Why is it that the Kansas City Five are not on their list? Not there on the list. Probably not enough complaints. That's what Lynn said here. Probably not enough complaints. As much as the apes want to think that there's
millions and millions and millions upon millions of people that are paying attention to this. I think the reality is a lot more, muted. In fact, this is obviously this is a subset of retail investors, subset that are invested in AMC. There's a subset of those AMC investors that actually get online and engage in this stuff. But the AMC stock subreddit has 503,000 members with 6,200 online right now. 6,200 people, members in this uh, Reddit subreddit right now. So, I mean, I find it curious that they say 5 to 10 million, yet there's 500,000 on this the main subreddit. So that seems odd. I mean, maybe they lowered the numbers. Maybe they deleted people, or maybe it's not real. Maybe it's false. But I mean, I don't have any reason to think that with any actual evidence. So, I mean, yeah, 500,000 it is. So that's kind of dismal. That's like 1/8 or ninth of the amount that they believed last spring in 2021 when Adam Aron said 4.1 million retail investors that hold an average of whatever shares each. So they probably didn't get enough complaints, and at the end of the day, very few, not nobody knows about AMC. I mean, people have heard of GameStop. Some people know about AMC, but like the apes think that if you walk into a random Applebee's, or I'm sorry, BW3, that if you start talking about AMC to the waitress or the wait staff or the bartender, that they're going to know what you're talking about, and that they're going to be like, "Oh yeah, man, I'm diamond handing too." Because I've seen videos where people go in public and they start talking to some random person, member of the public, with this like understanding that, oh yeah, this person knows what I'm talking about. They assume that they know what they're talking about, and most of the time they don't. So I think it's a lot. Obviously, it's a lot more inflated. It's a lot more. Um, it's perceived as being more important than it is, or more prevalent than it is. But 500,000. I mean, sure, 500,000 is a lot, right? But it's not 4 million. It's certainly not 5 to 10 million. Don't forget about fraud of intellect. Oh yeah, abuser of intellect. Yep. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, that guy. And I love it too how everybody thought this was they used to have they had a different profile picture for a long time. It was a woman. It looked like a woman. So when this person first came on the scene in AMC summer of 2021 or fall spring, whenever it was in 2021 that they showed up, they had that female profile picture. So everybody assumed that it was a female. They'd talk about her, she, you, they would all be female. And then at some point so they never said anything. They never said, oh, actually, well, I mean, I know that the profile pic, but I'm actually, male or whatever. No, they never did. Well, they finally did because excuse me, they started talking about their wife, started talking about their wife, and and then it became clear, oh, okay, yeah, you're the husband. So she's out with her boyfriend. She's out with his wife's boyfriend. No, abuser of intellect. Some of the most ridiculous shit I have ever seen. Let's see. Ah, this is not this is not the regular, and I forget my freaking thing username. This was not. Oh my God, this is not the regular spy algo. I got it. If you go, I got it here. It's all right. So let's see. Whoops. Whoops. That one. Oh. Okay. Oops. I keep screwing up here. Nope. Nope. Okay, that's right. Okay, it's just cut off. Hey, look, I'm an AMC YouTuber. My screen's cut off. See now? Well, it's not supposed to do that. Not supposed to do that. Should have an X. Oh well. Anyway, whatever. It's not the regular algo. I could just sign in, but like I said, I don't remember the details. This was not the regular SPY algo. I could not map the VWAP diamond with 2 standard deviations. SPY, I kind of knew something was not right yesterday, as you can see in the post below. Oh, is that right? The more VIX and SPY going up simultaneously, the less bullish I will be for the rest of the week. It means they want to sell expensive calls to retail. I will keep watching the option market and provide updates. Oh, is that why? Okay. That's what they want to sell expensive calls. Anyway, this guy is a complete moron. The ape should be on that list too. Yeah. Yep. I agree that the influencers, he has never, quote, and this is true, abuser of intellect has, quote, never lost in the stock market and has a crazy ability to average down. What does that mean? A crazy ability to average down. I'm sorry. Averaging down usually is not a good strategy. Averaging down is what people do when they're losing and they're desperate. So they buy more of the thing that they've lost a lot of money on. I mean, if you look at any classic investing or trading book, resource going back, 100 years, none of them tell you to average down. Now, if it's a position that you're going to hold forever, not like AMC, but something that, that you're just continuing to add, like an index fund or some stock that, is just a staple, cornerstone of your portfolio, then it's one thing. And this is important too, there are prospects for growth. So if you think it's going to go up anyway, then you need to really worry about getting it for the best price. You're a true believer. You put your money where your mouth is. Fine. That's different than the averaging, than desperate averaging down. That's confident averaging down. This is desperate, pathetic averaging down because you think that, well, I'll just buy more. No. Lying about losing money is the weirdest grift of all. I mean, and it makes sense though, right? I mean, uh, nobody wins 100% of the time, despite what abuser of intellect says. I mean, I haven't really even talked about that much because it's so ridiculous. I mean, first of all, to think that somebody could, oh, this person has never lost money in the stock market. It's ridiculous. I mean, the pros lose money. The pros lose money. Ken Griffin has said that, well, I guess we're Shadow Stars is in the chat. Okay, are you there, Shadow Stars? Can you
Yeah. Can you hear me?
say, yeah, yeah, sure can. What's up, sir?
Not much. I was watching the live stream, but then yeah, your connection started to go in and out, so I decided to hop onto the actual voice so I could actually
Yeah.
hear it.
Well, it looks like OBS says that my connection's back, so it was just a little short-term volatility. But yeah, the Swingers Club stealing the bandwidth. What do you think about all this stuff? I mean, keep me in check here. Like, I mean, I'm not saying it's exactly the same, but I think that, I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable to say that we see echoes or we see, certainly some similarities, at least in part.
No, I definitely see this whole situation of you have those pumpers from Atlas. I was in a Discord. I'm in another trading Discord, but we
Hmm.
got into contention with them because we started calling them out about all this pump and dump and shit that they were doing, and then they tried to poach members from our Discord to join their Discord, and then they would ask them for, oh hey, come pay this fee, so we'll give you better signals on more up to date stuff.
Hmm.
So we called them out, and this was what, about a year ago. Basically when the huge rise of like SPAC plays, so a lot of
Hmm.
low float, small cap companies,
Hmm.
IRNT, SPRT, those type of plays.
Okay.
But I mean, in one sense, both the AMC folks that are pumping it and the Atlas folks, they're both in violation of a lot of these tradings and securities laws.
Hmm.
But I see it as they're in violations of in different methods.
Hmm.
I see it more of these Atlas folks. They were systematically doing it. They're lying about their positions.
They were systematic.
Versus
Yeah. And well, I mean, I think that, okay. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry. Yeah.
no, no, no. I mean, go. I mean, you can finish. You can
Well, I
chime
was
in
just gonna
too.
say that I mean, we do have examples of, I mean, maybe not, maybe we don't have the proof, uh, but there's maybe probable cause at least, or something, some kind reasonable suspicion, maybe. Like, I mean, we know that Trey, now we know it, we know that he had positions, that he closed at the same time that he was saying that we haven't seen the squeeze yet. you know like the squeeze is coming still. It's coming. I really feel, and he's doing his little emotional puppy dog thing, or is it cat? It's a kitty cat. um you know so maybe he still had a position, but he profited massively, you know and while leading his audience to believe that, oh no, he never would have sold. I mean, the all the hubbub about selling, and especially like last year and stuff, like when it really kicked in, you would get like you would get your comments deleted, and you'd lose the ability to comment on Reddit, AMC stock subreddit, if you went in and said, "Yeah, guys, I sold for a like they would absolutely rip you to shreds. So what would people have done if if they had known at the time that Trey sold something and made a lot of money, which obviously is the point. But I think that he's probably not the only one that did that. Um, based on everything that we know now, and like how a lot of these guys just totally abandon it now, like short the VIX and review pork, and all those guys, Matt Coles. So I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there, that I think that maybe it's not as conspicuous. It may not be as conspicuous, but I think that they're probably that a lot of these guys probably didn't have positions, or they sold it, but they were always telling people to buy it and hold it, which I don't think that they were doing. But I guess it's more of an opinion. But if we could go back and look at their accounts, I wonder if we'd be surprised. That's all.
Not to some degree. I mean,
I'm
I
not
just see
saying
that
it's the same though.
differentiation.
I'll give you the fact that
Yeah.
it's a systematic, like they had this thing like a well-oiled machine.
Yeah, I just see the Atlas folks as being a lot more malicious and nefarious. Because I mean, yeah, they have different tiers of people of what time they get notifications, what stocks to buy, what price to buy it at.
Right.
Versus these AMC folks, I think a lot of them were just purely delusional. They believed all these tinfoil hat theories and they were pushing it, as opposed to these Atlas folks who are like, oh hey, look at this news article. Oh hey, I think price target this. Oh yeah, come buy it, etc. You know what?
Hmm.
I'm gonna tell Twitter at this time. I'm gonna tell the Discord at this time. I'm gonna tell the paid Discord folks at this time.
Hmm.
I mean, the Atlas
Right.
folks were just they were little less. It's hard to say. They were lying to the people, but just lying in a different manner. Like they
Yeah.
use if they use news articles, I mean, those are legitimate. Like they're not making up stuff.
True.
As opposed to these AMC folks, they're making I call them that they're making up these things. They're
Yeah.
reading these type of regulations. They don't understand what the hell they're reading, but oh, they see, oh, you know what? Oh, yeah, T plus 30, T plus 90.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then let's just plug that into this thing, and we're gonna squeeze.
There isn't a single reference to T plus 90 or T90 anywhere on the internet. Like it's never, I have not been able to find it referred to as T90 anywhere. Like it says 90 days after in whatever that original FINRA reg was or whatever, where it talks about the selling syndicate, which I don't even think is relevant here because it's not an offering in that sense. But it says, they have and they shall whatever within 90 days or something, but it's never referred to as T90. I can't find a single reference to T90 except them referring to it. So I think you're right. They made this shit up. A lot of it they just made up. So where does that fall then?
Mm.
That's misinformation, right? It's false, right?
Yeah, it's
Like,
misinformation. I just like to. I mean, I personally think I just like to have that delineation of
yeah,
is it is it it's misinformation either way, but is it malicious misinformation? Or the point of you know it's wrong, but you're still
yeah.
saying it, or as opposed to you don't know it's wrong, you truly believe that information to be right, but you're speaking it.
Right, and I would say that, and again, I've been saying that something similar to that too, because I don't know. It's hard to tell sometimes. Does this person actually believe it, or are they just a shill? Are they just, you know, uh, acting? And I think like we have both. I know we have both types. Clearly, there are some people who truly believe it, like maybe Frankie Muhammad. Um, he probably believes it, but he's when he opens his mouth, he's still saying misinformation. So the way I think about it in my head is that that's negligence, right? He's negligent in his research. He's negligent in knowing his limitations of his knowledge. If he should know as an adult that he doesn't know anything about this, he shouldn't be talking about it, influencing people potentially. That's negligence. Whereas like uh I truly believe Al from Boston, okay, or Lou, those guys are fraudsters. You know, they present themselves as these experts, that they have experience and they have connections and whatnot. But then you listen to what they say and it's total garbage. So that to me is intentional, intentionally misleading, basically fraud. Um, but they weren't negligent in because it wasn't because of a deficiency or anything that they didn't do. They did exactly what they wanted to do. So I don't know, if that's the right way to look at it. There is one, I'm looking for it here. There is one phrase or paragraph in this filing here that encapsulates that idea exactly. And it actually and it mentions it the same way. It's like knowingly or unknowingly. I'll find it and we can look at it and see. But it's like I don't know. It's just a different, yeah, it's a totally different approach. The Atlas guys, they didn't believe it. They knew what they were doing. Um, And I think AMC started that way. But when did it switch, though? That's a question. When did we start getting like, the difference, the demarcation between true believers and just opportunists who are trying to make ad revenue or whatever off of it? Was it after June of last year, like the run up, or
We'll never know.
no? We won't. I mean, Trey could have been a shill from the beginning, right? Tony says,
Trey's a trip.
yeah. Tony says, of course it's malicious if you know it's a lie and you keep on putting it out there. It's intentional. Yeah, and Shadow Stars is saying that. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're saying that you're making a distinction between most of the AMC influencers. You think that they are not malicious, or I don't know. I've been talking too much, so
I my thought is most of them aren't malicious.
are not
They
malicious.
really just don't. Yeah, are not malicious. They just don't know better. But some of these top influencers, they are most definitely like, malicious. Like Lou, I think he's purposely doing it. He's mar- he's got this whole marketing machine going behind him.
Hmm.
Al from Boston, I think, is trying to do that, especially with him. I think he touts his educational background
He does.
along with his service record. I'm like,
Yeah.
it's just wrong. I mean, for you to be, it's one thing about your educational background. You're putting shade on your own university or college you graduated
Right.
from, but then to use the whole flag idea of your military service, I'm like,
Yeah.
you are really cheapening the dedication of what the people who actually served, who did combat, who sacrificed their lives. I mean,
Hmm.
like him,
It's
I see
disrespect.
him as
Yeah.
one of the biggest.
Yeah.
Kohrs, I think he was, but he smartened up quick enough. He got in
Hmm.
contact with lawyers. Trey was, I know he contacted. I'm pretty sure he got in contact with lawyers, but he wasn't really heeding their advice as much until I think recently. Why he got so quiet is because his lawyers were like, "You really need to shut the hell up now, or you might end up like getting fined or going to jail."
Yeah. Oh yeah. I bet. Yeah. I bet. I mean, because I don't know if any of them had lawyers before they got into this, but I am pretty damn sure that they had the money to retain a lawyer afterwards, and it's probably the smart thing to do.
A lot of the smaller folks, I think the people who have under like 10,000 followers, I think those are the folks that are just clueless.
Hmm.
um like Frankie Mohammed, I don't know him that well. I only know him from some of the videos I've watched on your live streams, but I think he's just absolutely retarded.
Which one
I
is
don't
that?
think he's malicious.
Who?
Frankie.
Frankie Muhammad. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I just think he's just absolutely retarded. Who's
Okay.
that other, that
What
rapper
about
guy?
this? What about this though? Okay, you just made me think of something. So, okay, Frankie, not malicious, true believer, you know, passionate or whatever. Okay, I could buy that. But what about AMC Bigums? Because he, to me, he crosses the line of yeah, he is absolutely ignorant. I mean, he knows not what he's talking about at all. I mean, it's just conspiracy theories after conspiracy theories, but he presents it in what I would consider to be a malicious, condescending, malicious, um, you know, uh, disparaging way, even. Like, I don't know your
Big
thoughts on that.
Bigums it's a special case. I classify him as a person. I mean, he reads a lot of filings, so he knows how to read. He has. It's hard to say he has proper comprehension ability or skills,
Right.
but he has some sort of comprehension ability.
He knows enough
But
to be
he's
dangerous.
so Yeah, he's so like diluted. Like he has such a big ego, like almost like an egomaniac. Like
Yep.
he can't believe that he could ever be wrong.
Right.
So he's not. I guess. I guess he is stupid. He is stupid in the fact that he can't believe that he could ever be wrong.
Right.
Like he
And
thinks he's almost all knowing, or that when he reads it, he knows it, he understands it all.
right. And it's the same crap where they read it and it somehow magically applies to AMC. Like if it's talking about anything that has like substantial like credit risk or swaps or really anything, but any large, risk somehow is related to AMC because of those 8 quadrillion short synthetic shares that are out there.
I mean, a prime example of his one of his issues that it was easily shot down, even within the meme stock community, was the whole issue of regulatory halts. He
Hmm.
brought up the document of, oh, hey, look at the people who sit on the board, the commission, who make up the rules for the halts.
The
Oh,
limit
they
up,
must be the
limit down.
ones that are pushing. Yeah,
Right.
they're pushing the halt button. I'm like, are you serious? And then he's pointing out, look at all the people looking at their work history of what companies they're linked to. I'm like, and then he's like, oh yeah, obviously these hedge funds and market makers, oh, they're all malicious. They're all in bed together. And look
Hmm.
at how the board people are all stacked. And then you got that, I think it's a GME dude, Dave Lauer or whatever his
Dave
name was.
Lauer. Yep.
He's
Hmm.
like, yeah, he's like, he actually proved them wrong, and Bigums finally had to retract it.
What did
Oh,
he?
actually, on that side,
Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah.
actually, quick side note:
Hmm.
person worse than Bigums is Boss Blunts.
Oh yeah. 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 Boss Blunts is we're gonna be so fucking rich. That's all he's got to say. We're gonna be so fucking rich. And I love it too because I one of the first videos I did on my new channel here is was a video on Boss Blunts. So I think it was at the time it was like I don't know December January um, previous one like a year ago, and it was the thing then was if I remember correctly it was the executive orders. I think like the executive order 144032 or whatever it was that he was hyping real big with also with Bigums. And I did a video or and also Evergrande, also China Evergrande too. So that was like China Evergrande was going to default or something. It was Chinese property scan, whatever. He said that China Evergrande was delisted from the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Um, and I went and looked it up, and they had a suspension because of news. They had a trading suspension because of pending news. He said he had this live stream where he was all giddy and happy and sitting there smoking his weed, laughing like a schoolgirl because he had the checkmate move. Oh man, I figured it out, and boy, we're gonna be so fucking rich. Then I went and looked. It's like no, it didn't get delisted. Like what are you talking about? It's there. It was a halt for news for like current event catalyst or whatever however they label it. They didn't get delisted, but everything that he said was based on the assumption that yeah they got delisted, and I'm so happy I can't hide it. I'm gonna act like a schoolgirl, and I called him out on it, and then he actually somehow found the video, came and commented, and like used the clown emoji, and it's like, dude, what are you talking about? Like it's not about me being right or wrong, but like you're wrong about this. And it's like the most ridiculous shit like that, like basic shit. So yeah, Boss Blunts is an egregious violator of common sense and basic research and just evidence. Like these guys, they don't demand to have evidence before they say something. I mean, I don't like to say anything that I can't back up because I know, at least in my head, somebody's going to call me out on it. What am I going to say? You know, even if I know it's true and I don't have anything backing it up, I'm still hesitant about that because I know somebody's going to call me out on it. And ironically or paradoxically, they're going to require that I prove to them that it's true. Meanwhile, they've had to prove nothing of what they believe to be true. And we're supposed to just believe that there's 8 billion, I'm sorry, 8 quadrillion uh, worthless, unrelated AMC ERC20 tokens that somehow were used to short AMC. Okay, we're supposed to just believe that, I guess. Anyway, Boss Blunts, Boss is ridiculous. Lynn wants to
A
know
lot of those folks.
uh, if you have a residual non-American accent or if you just enunciate very well.
Okay, I admit, I'm not. I wasn't born in the U.S. I'm from a non-U.S. country, but I came
Okay,
to the States when I was young. So,
okay. Are you
so I
in?
guess I do have a
Oh no, that's right. You're on the East Coast. Yeah, right. I know where you're at. That's right. I was thinking you're in
yeah.
California for some reason.
No, I would not want to live in California.
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't seem like the California type necessarily. Which whatever. Lynn is the California type. So she says Boss Blunts is shorting Zigzag, the tobacco company. Um,
Yeah.
let's see. Trey gave Boss the last of his stash before Trey bailed out. Boss wasn't giddy. He was high as fuck. It's true. He was high as fuck. I mean, you say this a lot. You've said this before. They must have good, amazing weed to come up with the shit they come up with. I mean, seriously. I don't, like, I don't know. Boss Blunts lives in Chicago. I don't know. Oh, right. Boss Blunts supposedly was going to drop $100,000 on AMC or Ape or something today. I mean, who can believe that? You know, Try to find that tweet.
For me, it doesn't even matter the size of your account.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't care if you have $10,000 in your trading account or $1,000,000 in your trading account.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that matters to me is why are you trading? Why are you making that trade? Based on what? Just a hunch? On news? On financials? Based on what your coworker said? Based on what you saw on Reddit? On YouTube?
Right.
On Twitter? And a lot of these, and the reason why I think a lot of these AMC folks also need to be charged, like the Atlas folks,
Mm-hmm.
is because I mean, like Boss, Bigums, Trey, Matt. It's
Al,
because
Lou. Yeah.
oh yeah, Al, Lou. Oh, you got to add that Avi guy too. That
Oh
guy is
God.
really starting to pop up.
Let's put that guy that you have been calling out, like Rainbow or whatever. I don't know. Stock and crypto plays. That guy.
Yeah,
He's
Aquarius Angel or
Aquarius.
something.
That yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, like
So you were
they
saying
just
why they need one other reason you think that they need to be charged is go on with
they
that.
need to be charged because these are all folks that are pumping up a stock based on no evidence. There's
Right.
no legitimate evidence to push a stock up.
Right.
They use these tinfoil hats. They come up with these random theories, all using some sort of coincidence, like, oh, Tesla overstock 90 days. Oh, you find some random file, some rule filing with 90 days. Oh, wow, it matches. Bam, it's
Mm-hmm.
gonna squeeze. That's what T plus 35 was too. Oh, look at this T plus 35. Oh, FTDs. The
Right.
stock kind of went up within that 35-day range. So yeah, 35 squeeze. Oh,
Right.
settlement date T+2. Yeah, okay, it's gonna work. T+2 or T+0. Yeah, it's instant settlement. Like these folks keep on misconstruing
Is
actual regulations. So because they're borrowing the legitimacy of like government entities of the SEC. They're saying that, oh hey, look at these rulings that they've set in place, and they're going to be fought if it follows that. You can trust me because hey, it's in these filings, it's in these rules. They're misconstruing those rules to fit their narrative, and a lot of people are being suckered into it.
right. Right. So yeah, let me jump in here with the filing because I found one of the parts I was looking for. And it directly relates exactly, I mean, one to one pretty much with what you just said. So it says in the course of the scheme, these defendants often highlighted an anticipated event that would purportedly raise the stock price, quote unquote catalyst, and encouraged buying and holding the stock until the event, falsely claiming that they too were holding the stock, waiting for the catalyst. So then they were talking about this stock TRCH. I think it's Torchlight or something.
Yeah.
In the case of that TRCH, the catalyst was a purported upcoming merger with another company, Metamaterial. One of the guys claimed that he had discovered that this merger was coming in the course of his due diligence research on the company. He repeatedly promoted false information about Meta itself. He said, for example, that it was worth north of $4.8 billion, which is not true, and promoted the purported benefits of the merger. He also posted about other long term benefits, including a dividend that TRCH shareholders would purportedly receive after the merger. He also falsely claimed that Meta was potentially partnering with Tesla and that Meta had products that had applications for fighting COVID-19, and thus Meta had a $10 billion market cap potential. So those are all false statements, you know, basically making up, hey, this is worth this company is worth $4.8 billion. I mean, is that far off from saying AMC, the short squeeze play, is worth trillions of dollars? You know, I don't know. Um, benefit of a dividend. I mean, I guess technically AMC shareholders did receive a dividend, but I mean, it's a shrinking dividend. Is the amazing shrinking, disappearing dividend that is now worth what 2% of what it was initially or something? I mean, it's crazy. Um, or that somebody is Meta is partnering with Tesla ship. I'm sorry, Meta is partnering with Tesla. AMC is being bought by Disney. Don't you know? Or was it Amazon? Or shoot, I forget. Well, they claimed them both. You know, so these fake catalysts. I mean, we've seen this the whole time too with this. These fake catalysts. I mean, catalyst after catalyst after catalyst. It's insane. Uh,
Actually, since you brought that article up about Torchlight, yeah, Torchlight
yeah,
I think was what an oil, some sort of oil field, like oil company
I
merging
forget.
with some sort of like tech company, if I recall correctly. But I'm
Hmm.
surprised that um on
Might have
that
been.
document in the filing that it was reported as false information, because I do recall, I remember reading the SEC, one of the SEC filings, saying that hey, yeah, once they sell some of their properties of the land that had these oil fields, that stockholders would receive like a special payout dividend.
Mm,
But I guess the valuation of the company was insane. Like that didn't make sense. Whatever $1 billion, that one
Yeah, it was
That
4
one is a
4.8 or 10, yeah, 10 billion or something. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, if you just look at their financial filings, you can see that there's no way a company could be worth that much unless you're looking like 30 years in advance in the
Hmm.
future.
Right. That's like Meet Kevin's. I don't know if you know Meet Kevin. You probably do if
Yeah, I
you've
know him.
seen my, yeah. Meet Kevin's ridiculous valuation of Tesla. And, Model 3 dude's probably here. He's probably listening, and he's a fan of Tesla and all that, and that's, I got no problem with that. But this guy, this Meet Kevin guy, was sitting there saying, and it's kind of like Kathy Woods. Have you ever heard Kathy Wood talk about Tesla and the ridiculous, like, she says it's going to be like a $4,000 stock or some shit, and like in a couple years, it's like, okay, so you've seen like massive growth and like market, sector domination with Tesla thus far. Do you really think that's going to continue? Like, how is that possible? How is it even possible? It's not even, I mean, it doesn't make any sense just from a business standpoint that that would happen. Uh, so yeah, meet Kevin's. You should, yeah, we should look, sometime we should look at his, he's got like, a spreadsheet where he does his like, you know, conservative, like middle of the road and like ultra bullish projections for Tesla stock. It's crazy.
His,
It's
I mean,
ridiculous.
I've looked at the Excel sheets of his projections, and honestly, it's not too bad the way he factors in the margins, the costs, and everything else. The biggest issue is that he doesn't consider one big thing, which is like the traditional auto manufacturers. Will
Yeah.
none of them make the shift to EV? Will that put no pressure on Tesla at all?
Yeah.
Like he doesn't factor any of that in. He doesn't factor in other startup EV companies, even in the U.S. Fisker, Rivian. What are some other
Even
ones?
Ford and the big three, like, yeah, I mean, they're a lot of them are. I mean, you've heard about it a lot this year, like automakers pivoting to, you know, uh, EV production more, and China. I mean, in China, what do you think? They're not going. China's not going to make. China's not going to have every flavor of their own, like ripped off. Um, electric vehicles, like, I don't know, it just seems delusional to me. Like, yeah, at one point, you
Yeah.
could only get, like, name brand, um, I don't even know, name brand, isotoner slippers. I don't know if you know what those are, but people people get these slippers for Christmas for their grandmother or whatever, and it's a name brand. Um, there used to be one, now, yeah, you go to Walmart and there's, Walmart, they have their own brand, and it's like it's not. No, once something becomes like, accepted, yeah, it's going to be made by a lot of people, and that's good for the market, competition and the choices, right? So I don't see how you could think it would stay the same. Um, Model 3 dude says to go to Frankie's page and look at his community post. And before I do that real quick here, I found the other section of this document here. It's right towards the end almost, but it's summarizing, like, it's in the claim for relief here, talking about fraud in the offer or sale of securities. So it says, by reason of the conduct above, these defendants, in connection with the offer or sale of securities, by the use of the means or instrumentalities of interstate commerce or the mails, directly or indirectly, acting intentionally, knowingly, recklessly, or negligently. One, employed devices, schemes, or artifices to defraud. Two, obtained money or property by means of untrue statements of material facts or omissions to state material facts necessary in order to make the statements made, in the light of the
Hold
circumstances
on.
under which they were made, not misleading.
Hold on. Even omissions. Oh wow, that's a big one.
Yes, 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 yeah. Yes, you can't leave out key information that would be, yeah, no, it's absolutely. untrue statements of material facts or omissions to state material facts necessary to make the statements that they made in the circumstances under which they were made to make those statements be not misleading. So if they left out something that by leaving out that part of it made it misleading, yeah, you can't do that. That's it's
Oh, bye
essentially
bye,
it's
boss
lying.
boss.
Um,
Bye bye,
three,
Avi.
right. Three, engage in transactions, practices, or courses of business which operated or would operate as a fraud or deceit upon any persons, including purchasers or sellers of the securities. So as a result, they violated these sections of the act, yada, yada, yada. And it's basically the next one's basically the same. But that part right there that you mentioned, and also um, directly or indirectly, acting intentionally. So that would be like what we were calling a fraud, acting intentionally, knowingly, recklessly, or negligently. So that covers everything, whether they knew it or not, or they meant to, or they didn't mean to, whether they were careful about it or reckless, it doesn't matter. They misled people regarding the sale of securities. So, I mean, I wish this had happened last year. Well, of course, last year was when they were doing all this. So they're about a year behind, it seems like, in terms of like when did the shit happen versus when does the lawsuit come out? It was, like it talked about stuff in late 2020 and in 2022, like first quarter, second quarter, and even third into the third quarter of last year, 2021, um, pump and dumps that they were doing then. So we might see something about AMC. I mean, it's still ongoing. So I don't know, but I don't think we will. But this gives me a little bit of, I don't know. I mean, we maybe we weren't far off by saying that these guys were frauds. That's all. Maybe they actually maybe there's actually a case for that, and maybe it doesn't matter if
Most
they
definitely,
lost
there is a
money.
case.
Maybe if it doesn't matter if how much money people lost or how many people lost money. I'm sure that that helps, but at the end of the day, you know, if they were trying to defraud people, whether they got a lot of bites, on the bait or not, it's still fraud. So I thought that was a really, really interesting like summary of because I mean, you can see a lot of this stuff mirrored over in AMC and GameStop and all those things.
Yeah, I mean, all these people that we've been calling out. I mean, a lot of them are frauds. And I
Yeah.
mean, if the SEC were to ever pursue a case against them, I mean, I'm sure a lot of them would get nailed.
Mm-hmm.
The sad part is that the SEC they can only do so much, so they're
Right.
probably only going to go for the easy and the easy fish, like the ones that are worth it. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, a lot of these AMC folks, they're just
I
not
don't
worth it.
I don't think yeah, I don't think they're worth it. And yeah, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with that. Would I like to see it? Absolutely, because, it's like we could sit here and make videos and call them out all day, and what happens? Their little posses just come in the live stream chat and try to and be disruptive and stuff, like Scavengers guys did on Sunday's stream or Monday or whenever the hell that was. I don't know. I think it was Monday, but um, and it's frustrating. But I mean, I'll say this. I think that I appreciate like, for example, like you jumping in like yesterday with that what was it that stock and crypto play guy or who was it? Because you did a short video. You said, "Hey, I'm gonna time
Yeah,
to make a short video," and you didn't have to do that. You didn't have to waste your time doing that. And I don't I don't have to spend my time doing this. You don't have to spend your time here talking to me. But I mean, somebody has to. Like, it's so frustrating. Like, and they think that it's about saving them and saving them and trying to get them to change their minds. And I mean, I don't want to speak for you, so I'll just speak for myself. And then you could say, I don't want to change anybody's mind. Really, I'm not. Maybe it is a good idea to buy AMC, but you wouldn't know it from listening to these clowns. That's my point. And I suspect you might be somewhere, you know, like, hey, we need the evidence. Where's the evidence? Where's the data?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I don't care if people. I mean, it's your money. You do what you want with it. But for you to make a decision based on wrong information or misleading or information that has blatant omissions to it, I
Hmm.
think that needs to be stopped. So when that
Yeah.
stock and crypto plays, guys, I mean, a lot of his points are just they're riddled with holes and logical fallacies. I'm like,
Oh yeah.
there's no rhyme
It's
or reason behind like a lot of the stuff he says. I'm like, or
it's
even
really
the
bad.
stuff that he promotes is the T plus 90 date. Even the date, he can't even get his own date right.
And then he says, "But don't hold me to that date. It's around there somewhere." Like, okay, yeah, that's ridiculous. And he's got such an little prissy little attitude too. Oh my God, I don't know what the hell that guy's deal is or his problem, but he is. It's absurd, really. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's just like I can't even.
That
Yeah,
Avi
it's
guy,
right.
Avi guy is not as bad, but I mean, when I called him out, he finally replied to one of my damn tweets. He's like, "Oh yeah, some of the movies didn't do as well as I expected." Okay, then you should be revising your forecasting model.
Right.
But you haven't done that in over like almost 2 months. Yet you still continue to push that same model out over and over. He arbitrarily, he just randomly puts in growth factors of 20, 15, 10% year over year. I'm like,
Mm,
based on what evidence?
right.
He just randomly picks out numbers. He's like, oh, yeah, movie theaters are going to grow, 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 grow. Even though movie theaters will have like ebbs and flows. It'll go highs and lows. Not every single year will always grow.
Hmm.
Like this guy
Right.
has no sort of. He tries to be legitimate by bringing some numbers to the table. He brings just enough numbers to trick you into thinking that hey, it's legitimate. So
Right.
people who don't
Yeah.
look deeper into the numbers, like they won't know. They think, oh yeah, I see a lot of these numbers. They look good. Okay, he's believable.
Hmm. Right. Yes. Yeah. It's truly like smoke and mirrors, like the appearance of or lipstick on a pig, or whatever you want to say. And we all know people like that. I think people that just they got numbers, they got data, they've got something to say. Is it relevant? Does it actually mean anything? Does it actually support the point? These are questions that, that we have. But yeah, I mean, like, for example, like compared to somebody like Lou, right? Lou doesn't have any numbers, he doesn't have any data, he doesn't have any even charts or anything visual at all. His whole thing was like emotional manipulation from like a social, not just social justice, but just a like a camaraderie, like a community, um horseplay, um that jokester kind of thing. He wasn't a data guy, he wasn't a numbers guy, um but he managed to get a lot of people. Well, he did have brackets though. He did have his brackets. Remember that.
Oh, God. I don't know how anyone could take him like seriously whatsoever. Like just 30 seconds of listening to that guy, like it should have you running for the hills.
Yeah,
Just like Al, you hear 30 seconds of him talking, should have you running for the hills.
yeah. I mean, and yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. It's it really is wild. And I was like, so, this SEC thing, I mean, it came out of nowhere, obviously, because we didn't know what was going on. But I don't think that they'll do anything. Maybe like across the board for like social media. I don't even think that though. No, because you can talk about this stuff on social media and not do it in an illegal manner, and it would be more like the way that we talk about it, I think, like not giving any recommendations, not hinting that somebody should do something, like take a certain action, truly being focused on providing the data or an opinion or, manner of looking at the data. Um, but ultimately the message being like you have to look at this yourself and put it together. Nobody can tell you that you should do this or that. So I mean, yeah, but I don't want to be a financial advisor or a fake financial advisor. I have no interest in that, really. I just hate liars and people that pretend and are never held accountable. That's one of the big things. It's not fair. I mean, and the world's not fair, the stock market's not fair. I understand all these things. But it's like it's just, it's really kind of close to me, saying like, well, the apes, they didn't really stand a chance with all the shit that they were bombarded with. And I'm not saying that, but it's going, like there is like if you didn't know shit about the stock market and you came into this AMC, you had never traded a stock or done anything, you set up a Robinhood account and you listen to Matt Kohrs or short the VIX or whoever. I mean, like I would be really close to saying like, wow, you absolutely were a victim, because you didn't know you had no knowledge, you were relying on somebody, and that was a mistake. But at the end of the day, you're the one that said, okay, I trust this person. I'm going to do what they are saying that I should do. And that's on you. It puts it on you. But damn, it's tricky because everything was so, bullish, emotionally hot. I don't know. You know, what do you think about that? Like, were the apes victims? And if they were, of who? These pumpers or their own ignorance, laziness,
The ones, if you got into it and I guess within 30 days, I guess that would be kind of, I'd say almost like a 30-day window would be like, okay, at that point, that's your, like, you have some leeway of you didn't know better. But really after that, so after, was it June? It's been such a long time since
it
I've
has.
been the squeeze, right?
I
Was it
know.
what, June of 2021? So
Yeah.
after that, after a
Yep.
month after that, I
Hmm.
think from then on, if you trusted the words of those folks, I mean, they should be liable,
Hmm.
kind of.
The pumpers,
If you were,
they should be held
yeah.
accountable. Yeah, I mean,
Hmm.
I think so. I do. I mean, I think that I mean, imagine, are we gonna have to deal with this every time that there's like a hot bull market? Like, and maybe this happened every other time too. I don't know. But I heard about something that happened in the or just like generally after the dot-com bubble. So like what, 2000, 2001 era, um, that retail investors, people were very skeptical about listening to anyone uh, from the internet, which was new, still new, still pretty new for most people then. talking about investments or stocks or anything like that because a lot of people got burned on these, cats.com or uh, diapers.com or whatever, all these ridiculous website businesses that didn't even exist that had crazy valuations, not to mention the frauds like, Enron and WorldCom and all that stuff. So skepticism was high after that because of that. But s- something happened. Maybe it was COVID. Maybe it was, just dumbing down of society. Maybe it was whatever. How are people willing to trust some, random anonymous people online with such an important thing? I mean, it's come
I think
like
that's a
full circle.
reflection of society.
Yeah,
It's a
right.
reflection of society and of our poor education system, along with like kind of, I don't know, this is my personal belief, but like core family values, ethics and morals. Like it's
Yeah.
all been kind of broken down.
Hmm.
Maybe I'm getting more of the old man mentality, but I do think
That's
it's
welcome
really
here.
changed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like the people growing up now, the kids that are growing up now, like they don't have the experiences. They're not learning the same things from their parents about like what we learned from our parents when we were growing up in the 90s
Right.
and 80s.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And it's
Like
interesting
if
because
you'd have some of this comments. Oh, go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say I'm gonna go to my statistics here, but at least before this channel would my channel skewed a little older. So like, I'm 40, so like mid 30s to mid 40s was strongly represented, and like boomers were strongly represented. 20 something and lower, not as strongly represented, and that always fascinated me because like, yeah, I've I feel like people that are like my age, our age, 30s, later 30s, whatever, 40 are we've been around the block a little bit more. And I mean, I'm sorry, but like, yeah, it was different when we grew up. Like, you had to rewind the VHS tape. Which you literally had to rewind a movie after you watched it before you returned it to Blockbuster or Hollywood Video or whatever you had. So, I mean, I think that's a good point. It's well taken. Like these kids these days, these kids, what the hell?
It's just common sense is no longer really common. The stuff that we kind of grew up with, like knowing or kind of already knew
Right.
inherently, like
Yeah.
like people don't know.
Hmm.
Like these kids, they just don't know it. I'm like, but how could you not know it? It's
Right.
just so mind-boggling.
Well, even this,
Sure,
the
they
notion
they
of
know
getting
more
rich
stuff.
quick in the stock market. Like, I never thought, hey, I can buy one stock or even any like combination of stocks. I mean, it was never about trying to get rich quick. Like, I mean, I have a little bit more of a risk tolerance, and I like to gamble, whatever. But I'm not like kidding myself to think, oh yeah, one of these days I'm going to make $1 million, on some QQQ options. And and like when I don't know, like how long you've been trading options for a few years too. Like, you what is this like? You expect to make money, and if you don't, we need to change the market. The market's unfair. We need to change it, and we're here to do that. Like, I didn't ever even thought, like I would have never even like had that attitude about it. It was like, wow, this is this is difficult. I lost money. Let me try to figure out how not to do that next time and figure out why I did this time. And it really is about me, like I have to do something different, think about it differently. Like, No,
It's
it's the market.
entitlement.
Yeah, it's entitlement. Exactly. Exactly.
This is
You,
going to be a hot take, but honestly,
go for
a
it.
lot
Do
of
it.
these issues, I think, really spawned because a lot of these kids, like their parents, they were working their tails off. So unfortunately, they weren't able to teach their kids better. They
Right.
needed to get beaten a little bit more with a stick, but they weren't. They were let go. They were sitting in front of a damn TV all day. They were
Yeah.
on their phones watching all these YouTube clips. They were
Playing video
watching,
games.
yeah, playing video games. Like they encountered none of the same hardships that we did.
Hmm.
They
They
didn't
didn't go
have to
out and
do much
play
of any sort of
outside. They
physical
didn't go out and
labor.
ride their bicycle. They didn't go out and ride their bikes or, you know, have to um, uh, print out banners like on the paper that's connected, like continuous feed paper. I don't know if you probably, I know people remember, with the uh, sides on it, like a tractor feet. I had a dot matrix
Hmm.
printer. Like, and one
Oh
of
man.
you could make banners easily because the pages were connected. You could make a banner that said "Happy Birthday, Scott," or whatever. Uh, and it took forever to print out. Now it just everybody has a laser printer. It just spits out. So yeah, I mean, I think going along with that is like this instant gratification society that we have. Everybody expects everything to happen now, and when it doesn't, then what's wrong? I need it now. I deserve to have it. Now, Jorge is saying people did it. That's why. So I guess this is like when we were saying people why do people think that you can get rich quick, da 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 da, in the stock market? Um, because people did it, people made millions. But who made
I
millions
mean,
though?
it's no
Not
different.
newbies. It wasn't people who'd never traded options before. It's not people. The guy, literally the guy who organized this whole thing was a financial advisor. He was a literally a a credentialed FINRA registered financial investment advisor. That's the guy that figured this out and set this whole thing up, really. Heath Gill. He was a financial advisor who, by the way, did not disclose that at all to his audience, which I think is it's like the flip side of this whole thing. Like it's like the opposite. Like these guys pretend to be financial advisors and they say they're not. He was, but he didn't say that he was. So it's weird, but I don't know. What do you think? They did it. That's why people made millions. What would you say to that? Is that a
People
reason to do
making
it?
millions in this case is no different from the way I interpret is like you winning the freaking lottery.
Right.
Yeah, sure. Some people will win the lottery, but you expect that you'll be that one in 100 million person is ridiculous. Like,
Jorge's arguing with me
think of it.
about Keith Gill being a registered financial advisor. So I guess I'm going over to broker check, going over to FINRA broker check. I mean, come on, dude. Don't argue
Oh,
with me about this
DFE.
shit. Yeah, like
He worked at a financial firm. I don't know if he
he
was.
had series qualifications. He did. No, I mean, okay, I know him. He wasn't. Um, okay. Well, I mean, FINRA says otherwise, sir. Like seriously. Here, let's get Keith Gill up here. Yeah, here he is, Keith Patrick Gill. Bring this in this window. Here he is, Keith Patrick Gill, previously registered broker, previously registered investment advisor. Um,
Yeah, chartered financial analyst,
yeah,
licensed securities broker, registered with FINRA since July of 2012. 2012.
and he worked at Medical Mutual Life Investor Services up until the thing in 2021. Now he did, and Jorge's saying like if he was, then he would have gotten charged, and then of course FINRA is BS. Okay, Mass Mutual, sorry, Massachusetts Mutual, yeah, right, because he was in Mass.
No, and he was registered throughout the whole period, the whole lead up to the GameStop thing. But I mean, you can see it right here. Like, registration history. There was an investigation, um, and his employer was fined $2 million, um, because because per the FINRA rules surrounding this, he was employed as an investment advisor. He was giving investment advice to an education to their customers. Part of his contract was that he was not allowed to dispense financial advice outside of that setting, which makes sense, right? I mean, you're a professional, you work for this firm doing this. They don't, they don't want you going rogue outside of work, potentially advising people, in a different setting. Makes sense. Um,
The
so yeah,
saving
so
grace for him, I think.
his employer was supposed to be uh ensuring that he didn't do that, and apparently they didn't know that he had a YouTube channel, or they didn't know the extent of it. And so as a result, Mass Mutual got fined. But as far as I know, there were nothing happened to him, of course, and he made millions. So
I think the saving grace for him was that also in the end, when he disclosed his positions of like all those call options, he actually ended up coughing up the money to buy all those shares, and then he later disclosed when he exactly sold it. Like if he never bought those shares
right.
after this his initial disclosure, I think it would have been a lot more muddied up. But because he actually spent his like he told the people what his position was, and then he exercised those calls, and that which resulted in buying all those shares and then selling it. I think he got off the hook.
Yeah, and I'm not. Let me be clear, because it seems like Jorge here is emotional about this, and it was his job. He was. I mean, we're looking at this right here. You want to see the securities exams he took? Series 63, 65, the general exam 7, 3, 24. So he was credentialed. He was a registered investment advisor. Is an individual or company that is paid for providing advice about investments to their clients. Okay. Now, some rando in the chat wants to argue about that, but here's the facts right here. So, but I'm not, I'm not commenting on, um, uh, how he went about doing it in terms of like, did he disclose his positions or that he sold or any of that stuff. I have, I don't know. I didn't follow the whole thing. I haven't watched all of his streams. Um, so I'll trust you on that, that he handled it in a more professional manner than these guys. And I would have hoped that that would be the case. But um, yeah, still though, I mean, his employer was, you know, his employer violated securities laws by having an employee that had another business, or was doing this outside of his job, which in the contract it said that he wasn't supposed to do that in order to stay within the regulations. So anyway, um, let's see. He signed more than one agreement when he was hired that he would not go rogue, Lynn says. And Mass Mutual terminated his broker license after the MOAS. I mean, Jorge, I'm showing you a screen. I am showing you a screen, okay, that is from the people that literally register, the authority that these people register with, okay? Don't tell me to get my facts straight. I mean, seriously, this is the problem. Like, this is the problem right here. You're looking at information that you don't believe. You're looking at facts that you refuse to believe. I don't know why. I don't care. But I mean, it's ridiculous. We're showing you multiple proofs exactly. And I mean, his employer was fined. There's no here. The Massachusetts Securities Division of the Office of the Secretary of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is conducting an inquiry into certain unreported outside activity conducted by Mr. Gill. And it says that they haven't reached any conclusion, but I I happened to I saw this was 2 days after the GameStop squeeze. I saw the judgment for $2 million fine. I don't know why this isn't updated, but anyway, yeah. I mean, so this is the problem here, and there was this other one here too. This other it was a civil lawsuit that some was filed by an individual. An allegation that Mr. Gill's conduct caused inflated share prices in violation of federal securities laws and rules thereunder. Nothing ever happened with that one. But I mean, that I know of, and that was a very unpopular civil lawsuit too, by the way. That person, Christian Iovan, they got slammed. They got humiliated by, the whole GameStop community and on Reddit and everything else, and in the media, um, for that lawsuit. He was called a bag holder. Said that he didn't, because he didn't sell. He, ended up forfeiting profit and whatever. Um, so he turned to a lawsuit. I mean, whatever. Who knows? Looks like Model 3 dude took care of Jorge. So thanks, Model 3 dude. But yeah, I mean, I thought that was really. I mean, nobody was talking about this last year. Like, hey, Heath Gill, he was a professional. Like, he knew what he was doing, and you know, it's like, to me that matters. Like, that makes a difference here. I'm not exactly sure how, but I mean, it does. It does. Like, he he profited off of it, and he made a lot of money. And there were certainly other people who did too. Um, did the majority of people? I don't know. You know. So net, was it? Did he do a good thing? Or I don't know. It's just, yeah, it's wild. It's wild. Stop lying. Roaring Kitty wasn't a financial professional. He's one of us. If he made millions, we can do it too. I have evidence he was a cat. Oh gosh. Anyway, but yeah. Now, what is the website that you use to look for the box office numbers? Which one do you use? Is it Box Office Mojo or
Yeah, that one.
okay? Um, so I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen any recent numbers. How's so Avatar comes out what, tomorrow, right? Thursday, or well, Friday, I guess technically. But I think they have some
Right.
pre-release screenings or whatever tomorrow, or VIP something or other, I think.
Yep.
And
Should be like tonight. Yeah.
yeah, Thursday night, right?
Hmm.
Or Wednesday night. Yeah. Um,
Thursday night, I think. Yeah.
Thursday night,
Whatever
right?
it is. Yeah.
Yeah, and then for everybody, it comes out on Friday. What's the deal with Black Panther? How's it doing?
I mean, you got the numbers right there,
I
and
do. I
you can
do.
see it's not grossing that well. I mean,
Domestic,
it's.
411 million. Okay, so
I
it
mean,
started out, it opened at 84 million. First weekend was 140 million, like the Friday and Saturday. So it like total, it had the gross had been, was 140 million. Um, and then it's been dwindling down, and the last thing it has is the 13th.
which is Tuesday, and it did 1.1 million. The total domestic gross is 411 million, 412 million, and it's been out for 33 days. I have to admit, I don't know if that doesn't really mean much to me, but the average theater, $307. I mean, that's those per theater, yeah, that's wild. I mean, I guess we have to remember that they have more than one movie playing at a theater. They have, but like more than one film. So they're showing other movies. So that's just for this one movie. But Model 3 dude is saying that he saw Avatar last night. I don't know how, because he's a big shot, I guess. And he says, "Oh my God, what a mess." So that's interesting because,
I didn't even watch the first one, so I
yeah,
don't know how good or bad the second one will be.
as you've been saying, Avatar 2 has to absolutely kick ass, like more so than Top Gun, if I remember correctly, or at least
Yep.
to that degree. Okay, more.
If you can pull up the quarterly number.
Okay. Yeah,
So
quarterly.
you can open up another tab or just go
I
to the
just go to it.
quarterly.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, all right. So we can compare it to other blockbuster films, I guess, here.
For me, I mean, it's just the start number I want to show to the folks here is that currently 2022, you got that quarterly figure Q4, 1.2 billion domestic box office gross.
Yeah, I'm highlighting it here. Yep. Okay.
Now, if you compare that to what Q2 this year did, was 2.3 billion. So what's that difference come out to roughly? 1.1 billion dollars.
Mm-hmm.
You have 16 days or what 17 days, I think data is only current as of 13th, right? Or so you have
Yeah.
eight, like 18 days worth
Mm-hmm.
of screenings to fill 1.1 billion dollars. And that's just to match Q2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's the 2.3 billion there for Q2. So you're saying Q4 so far is 1.2 billion. They have to beat Q2 in order for this delusion of cash flow positive to materialize. So this 1.2, which we're halfway through the month, this 1.2 has to go beyond 2.3. It has to be
Yep.
higher than Q2. So there's 16 days, 18 days, half a month, 2 weeks to basically hit and exceed 2.3, which is over $1 billion. And in all reality, like $1.5 billion, pushing 2 billion to cleanly exceed the two that and even that is just like it's just marginally beating it, if I remember correctly. Like that
Yeah.
doesn't get rid of the debt. It doesn't do anything like that. It's just turning a go having a cash flow positive earnings report.
I mean, you need to have a stellar Q4 to be cash flow positive.
Mm-hmm.
Q2 was still burning cash. So you
Right.
need to have much
Yeah.
better than Q2. The thing is that to put the best spin on it, to be the most put the most positive spin, put the best case scenario, you grab the best performing movie in recent years.
Mm-hmm.
In a 15-day window is what I looked at. And in the last 7 years of movies, the best one I found with a 15-day range was Star Wars 8.
Wow.
Even if you match Star Wars 8,
Mm-hmm.
they still will come about anywhere from 8 to 14% under Q2 figures.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah, that's not
So
good.
you need to have basically almost 50% better than the best performing movie of all time,
All
almost
t-
like almost
wow.
in recent time.
Hmm.
But there's
Yeah.
no way that's happening
Right. Uh,
unless Biden's like, oh, you know what? Everyone's going to get a stimmy check so they can go to the movie theaters. Unless that suddenly happens within the next 2 days,
right.
there's no way in hell Q4 would be cash flow positive. And I'm pretty damn sure there's no way in hell Q1 of next year, 2023, will be cash flow positive either.
Where did it even come from? Like, because Adam Aaron said that they would pounce, and then, I mean, I don't ever remember any solid evidence, or not evidence, but like solid reasoning that was ever given. It was just like it's kind of like it was just kind of like the whole like squeeze in general, like how they always say we've won. We know we've won. Okay. Well, how do you how do you know that? Like the the price is down. Like clearly you didn't win. And I feel like it's the same thing with this. It's just like one of these things that you said, like they just made up. Like, yeah, we're going to be cash flow positive this quarter. Oh, okay. Like the CEO and everybody already knows that the movie release schedule is light. There's not that many movies. Why would you pick this quarter to say that you're going to be cash flow positive? Like it doesn't really make any sense to me. Um, I don't know. I don't know what
Let me
dash to
pull up
trade is. I've never heard of dash to trade. I don't know what that is. I'm looking at it here. I don't know. I have no idea. Crypto analytics platform. Yeah, I don't know. Never seen it.
the crazy thing is, it's what their CFO said. Their CFO was saying that, hey,
Oh,
look,
Sean,
this is
what's his
quote,
name?
yeah, Goodman,
Goodman. That's
Sean
right. That's
Goodman,
right. That's right. That's right.
quoting from earnings call transcript. Looking ahead, we expect our cash burn to improve in Q4 with a return to positive operating cash generation.
Hmm.
So it's okay. So he gets a slight away with it. Like he's tricky with his words because it says positive operating cash generation, which
Generation.
technically doesn't, yeah,
Right.
which technically doesn't mean positive cash
So
flow.
you're saying that that would mean like um that would like
Basically,
you're talking about
if you look
net,
at the
like
earnings
net.
statement,
What line would that be on on the statement? I have it up here in Trading View. Net income. Are we talking about net income here?
it'd be net income. So income before you calculate taxes, before you
Oh, EBITDA.
consider,
EBITDA.
yeah,
EBITDA. Okay. Right. And Adam Aaron has made it clear that that's what they care about is EBITDA. That's the metric that they care about. That you know I don't know why or whatever, but I just
it's
remember him
because
saying,
their shares are linked to it. Their
"Oh,
performance, their RSUs, their
oh,
restricted stock units.
their compensation shares, you mean?"
Yep, a lot of it's heavily based on
Oh,
EBITDA,
okay, all right, right. Earnings before interest, taxes, uh,
depreciation, I think,
depreciation.
right?
Let's see here. There should be a show description. Yeah, go ahead. Show description.
Yeah, interest, taxes, depreciation, amortization.
Amortization. Okay, right,
Yeah,
right. That's like the time function or something, right? Like like compounding thing, right? Like, yeah, interest is expenses caused by interest rates. Taxes is tax. Depreciation and amortization, non-cash expenses related to the gradual decrease in the value of tangible and intangible assets of a company over time. So depreciation is that, and amortization is the over time part, which literally like comes from the word to mortis to die, which is also the word mortgage is based on too, because you'll be paying it until you die. But anyway, EBITDA helps compare profitability between companies because it takes out those factors. Like it reduces the impacts of financial accounting factors and government, like interest rate, taxes, all that stuff. Takes it out of the equation, so you can just look at your uh, earnings, not considering all those things. So you take the total revenue and subtract the cost of goods sold and then a bunch of other things, and then you add the appreciation, depreciation, which I guess would be a negative number. So you're essentially subtracting it. Insurance and banks don't use it because they have a different thing. They don't have cost of goods sold because they don't sell goods. So anyway, all right. So that explains why he wants, yeah, he harps on that. And Q3 was negative 18 million, but Q2 was positive 81 million. So they've had some of these, and also Q4 of 21 was 130 million EBITDA. So it's not like they haven't had positive EBITDA recently, and I don't even really know. I mean, yeah. So okay, here's a question. So what? What does it matter to the apes and the short squeeze supposed thesis if they have positive EBITDA? They had positive EBITDA in Q2 of this year. They had it in Q4 of last year. It didn't kill the short thesis. I guess things are a little different now. They have more income. They have more revenue. Well, I guess they had they had exactly the same revenue in Q2 and of this year and Q4 of last year, 1.17 billion, exactly the same amount. In both of those quarters, they had positive EBITDA, but I don't really see what difference it makes at this point. I mean, seriously, like they still had a net negative income in both of those quarters. They still didn't make a profit. So,
The thing for them, I mean, anyone who tries to argue the financials is they're saying that, hey, you know what? It's going to recover. It just needs more time.
mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, you give it more time, more movies will be produced. You hope that more movies will be produced because of the huge backlog due to COVID. And because more movies will be produced, more people will be watching said more movies, and that will generate more revenue.
Mm-hmm.
The issue is that these movie theaters, their margins on the showing of movies isn't much. It's very slim margins. It's really
Right.
from the concession stands, the it's the upselling. So you upsell
Mm-hmm.
it to like the 3D, whatever, 3D IMAX or the Super Dolby, blah 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 blah. Like it's those that bring in the additional money. It's the people who get the regular movie tickets that don't buy concessions. They're
Mm-hmm.
not really generating any money for the company.
Right.
But they hope that, hey, you know what? More movies, you have a higher chance or more opportunities for people to spend their money at the movie theaters. That's their one and only hope. But people don't also look at potentially macroeconomic factors of, hey, we look like we could go into a pretty bad recession. Looks like
Mm-hmm.
people are running out of money to spend. the typical low to middle class income families,
Oh yeah.
they're not going to be spending $10 on a soda and $20 on popcorn per person.
I don't
They're
think
not going
so.
to be spending like $150 if they're going to the movie theaters to take their children. They're going to think about, hey, one option is streaming. Hey, we spend whatever $15 a month for Netflix subscription, and maybe they spend $10 to watch the movie, to immediately stream the movie. That's so much cheaper than 150, $200 you spend at the movie theaters, and it's all at the convenience of your home.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And not only convenience, safety. Like, there are still there's still the threat of whatever, COVID, other viruses, things like that. Some people just they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to take the chance. They have kids. They whatever. Um, Not to mention bed bugs and shootings and everything else. I mean, I'm not saying like people should be worried to leave their house, but I mean, like in general, people go out a lot less, I think still, now. So, uh, let's see here. They're saying that Warren Buffett said, "It amazes me how widespread the use of EBITDA has become. People try to dress up financial statements with it." That's what Warren Buffett had to say about EBITDA. So, for what it's worth.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the one all and be all type of metric that you can use to compare companies, because I mean, different sectors perform very. I mean, you got to kind of try to compare apples to apples. You can't do apples to oranges.
Right. So what you're saying is you can't compare the debt of a company like, oh, I don't know, say Verizon to a company like AMC. Like
Yeah.
like these I mean, God. I
or
mean,
or better yet, oh, you don't want to compare Coinbase with
oh God.
AMC.
Oh yeah, right. Like I don't even know. I mean, you looked at it in your video. What was he looking at? It said it was the Q3 revenue or something. I mean, it wasn't the cash on hand. I mean, 'cause you got that figure out of the Edgar statement. Like, I think he was just looking at the revenue or something, like or the Ethereum holdings or something. I don't know. It was weird. It was
He pulled up some random page on Coin Market Cap showing supposedly Coinbase's cash. I'm like,
right.
cash of what? Like, that doesn't represent their entire cash holdings, let alone like all the other assets that they have that are
Hmm.
that are liquid.
Right. Yeah. So what about this
I mean,
AMC credit
he's no
card?
different.
Is that ingenious or what? Like at this point, at this stage in the game, I mean, I haven't looked at the credit card balance lately, but not my credit card balance, but the
I mean, them
consumer.
expanding to different revenue streams is a good idea. I don't knock them for expanding. I don't knock them for doing their Zoom things, for trying to sell the mega bag popcorns, for trying to sell popcorn in grocery stores and whatnot. Like, I don't knock them for that. Like,
Right.
you need to find other ways to generate revenue, to generate turn profit, because just selling tickets isn't doing it. But how profitable it will be, how long it will take for them to get a good return on investment, I don't know. I don't know if it'll be fast enough to save the company with the massive debt payments that they have coming down the pipeline. Because what, 2026, they got $3 billion+ that they need to pay off. But
Hmm.
if they're not able to generate any sort of positive cash flow in all of 2023, 2024, 2025,
Hmm.
you got 2 years to generate $3 billion worth to pay off your debt, when per quarter you never made more than like $200 million of net profit. There's no way you'll be able to pay that debt off.
Not to mention, we aren't even at. I mean, assuming that we're taking the Fed at their word and everything like that, we're not at the peak of the rate hike, which Jerome Powell made clear today that, and maybe Badback wants to jump. I see that he's in the voice chat channel here. I mean, feel free to jump in. Um, we're not at the peak rate, the terminal rate, and it's going to remain elevated, like for most of 2023. What they're saying now. So that that's just more money. That's interest and the interest payments for the loans.
Mm-hmm.
Um, not good. And what they say that the movie schedule is going to be depressed next year as well, or at least
Yeah.
for most of the year or whatever. Because right, because if you're showing a movie in 2023, they've been working on that movie for a couple years already. Right, or something like that. I don't know the timeline, but it's not quick. They can't just pump them out. I mean, it has to go through and then that's going to be affected potentially by the recession. So there's a bit of a compounding effect. That's what I'm getting at, I guess. There's like nothing happens in a vacuum here. So this problem leads to that problem, and it could potentially lead to other problems. And it's like Netflix is probably. I mean, I don't know, like probably not, but like net, at least in terms of business models, it's probably more forward looking.
Netflix financial wise, they aren't doing too hot either.
No,
I mean, you would think that a streaming company would do very well. They would be able to keep costs low, but unfortunately, they've been spending money like mad.
that's
They're just
right, right. Because they've created all these series and movies, films, and I mean I know they've changed their subscription model a little bit, and then they have or whatever, and they have ads tiers and whatever. But I mean before that, like you figure they have a flat rate every for a flat subscription fee for every user. That doesn't change. And they lost subscribers, and they're spending more and more money on all these films and series and all this stuff. I mean that money has to come from somewhere. Like how how are you gonna spend all this extra money, developing movies and whatever off of a flat rate subscription? Like it's kind of a Twitter blue check, question. Like how does that math work? I don't know. I mean, what was it?
I think Netflix.
I saw a quote that said something about like Twitter would have made like $500,000. Uh, I don't know if that was for a quarter or for a year off of the blue checks. And it's like, oh, okay, $500,000. Cool. Like it's kind of a drop in the bucket. Like
Versus all the ad revenue they
versus
lost
all
from
the ad
the
revenue
sponsors
that's
pulling
been, yes, exactly. Thank you. That was the other half of it. Yeah, it's not anywhere close to making up for it. So yeah.
I mean, Netflix is, I think, I mean, this applies to a lot of companies too. A lot of companies, they aggress aggressively were expanding, especially during the COVID period
Mm-hmm.
when, I mean, the government was just handing out money left and right, just
Yeah.
money printer on full speed.
Mm-hmm.
So they were aggressively spending all that money, expanding, thinking that, oh hey, look at all this growth that we're having, and they misthought or misprojected that this growth rate would continue, which it would be impossible. It only grew so much because everyone suddenly all had this extra money that the government just handed to them,
Right.
and you
Yeah.
had very like black swan event where like everyone they couldn't do a lot of things, so they had even more money to spend on certain things. So they normally wouldn't have spent all that money. They never would, but they decided, hey, I have this extra money right now because I'm not spending on this. So you know what? I'm going to pump it in there. And that's why a lot of tech companies are right now. They're feeling the big crunch.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah, because you got a lot of unprofitable companies that if it hadn't been for near zero rates, they probably wouldn't have been able to continue operating. Like I mean, I don't know if Uber is actually making a profit now, but for the longest time they weren't. I don't know if they are. But companies like that, the Uber model, um the app matches you with, you know, like we're gonna match drivers with people who need rides. DoorDash, companies like this. Uh, it's not, it hasn't been the most profitable model, so to, is a manner of speaking. Oh no, let's see. No, I mean, they have gross profit, but they don't. Their net income is negative, and they had positive EBITDA. I'm talking about Uber here in Q3, 15 million positive. I mean, I guess it's better than negative 1 billion, but I mean, they're still running a, net income one 1.21 billion negative net income Q3, but they were 15 million positive EBITDA. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. Some of this stuff is, I'm not an accountant, so I I do the best I can with these earnings statements. But oh yeah, did you see fuck, what was that site? I found a site. I don't know if you saw it on the last stream. Um where you can compare financial statements, and it'll generate a graph. Um and like you could generate the because remember when that guy was talking about the comparing the debt. I was like, okay, I want to see the debt for Verizon and the debt for AMC graph, like on the same graph. And I found a site that does it. I'm gonna find it. I can't believe I didn't bookmark it. That was stupid. Because it's weird. It's a weird one of those weird name, or like um, it's a weird name. It's like not. It's not Finviz. Dang it. But I'm guessing that you don't remember it either.
No, I don't.
I'll find it here. Yeah, because like I just searched for compare company financials. Fuck. But yeah, it was. Oh yeah, here it is. It's Jika.io, which Jika.io is the name of the site, and G Jika.io. It doesn't even seem to be loading now for me, but I think that's the one. Okay, while that's maybe loading, Model 3 dude asked for this a while ago, and I pulled it up, but I'd never actually looked at it. So I'm going to read this statement here, or this post from Frankie Mohammed. And Badback, if you're there and you want to jump in, go ahead, because I got to get off. I got to close this down soon. Not yet, but soon. So here's Frankie's post from 3 hours ago. I'm not spending another. Now, is this him saying this, or is this something that he copied and pasted? I don't know. But anyway, it says, I'm not spending another quarter in the stock market on shit as long as Ken Griffin is the market maker and they got the dark pool abuse. I ain't telling nobody to buy nothing in this criminal ass system. I'm diamond handing GTII, Ape, and AMC. I'm not buying any more stocks. I'm done. I will only be buying crypto from now until 2025. I will be buying Shiba Inu, Stellar Lumen, Cardona, Basic Attention Token, Chainlink, Dogecoin, and others. I don't think that there's any way he wrote this. As far as the stock market, I only want my MOAS money. After that, I don't give a fuck what they do. The whole stock market can go to hell as far as I'm concerned. I don't care nothing about no day trading, swing trading, IPO plays, or none of that shit. I'm the people that's running that bullshit, in my opinion, are criminals. I'm not giving them any more money. As soon as AMC squeezes over, my channel is going 100% crypto. I don't give a fuck about any stocks anymore. I know the devil is coming over to crypto. However, it will take him a while to come over and fuck it up like he has done the stock market. That is an angry bag holder.
I
Holy
don't think he
shit.
even understands what cryptocurrency is.
I
Look at
don't.
all those
I'm
shit coins that he listed.
right. And I mean, at least with the stock market companies, there is something underlying the whole thing, like a company that does something, hopefully, makes something, provides a service. Crypto has no fundamentals. So it's like the worst part of the stock market, just the chart. Like because there's nothing like, hey, yeah, we had a good quarter. We sold, 4 times as many units as we normally do, or whatever. No, there's none of that. There's no fundamentals. So it's just technicals, just a technical thing, and like I don't know, it's kind of like the most like floozy part of it. Like to me, the technical aspect, like it's not really based on anything. It's more based on like self-fulfilling prophecies and just buy sell levels, like how many people have bought at these levels and how that all is adding up, and you know
Oh,
where are
you
people
cut
going to
off
take
there.
profits and stuff. But I don't know. Yeah, this is wild. Um,
I don't understand his logic. He's saying that he's not going to spend any more
right.
money because the market is rigged. Well, if the market is rigged, why would it ever squeeze then? When would it
Well,
ever
right.
squeeze?
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's a good
If that's
point.
your thought, if that's your logical thought, then I would just pull all my money out of the stock market then. You really don't trust it, and there's no guarantee that it'll ever squeeze.
There's no guarantee of
Then
shit.
why keep
Yeah,
it in there?
right. I
You're
mean,
you're losing money basically every day. As time
right,
goes on, you're losing more and
right.
more of your money,
Yeah,
but you're not going to take any steps to stop it. So because you're not going to pump more money into it to see if you can force those shorts to cover and to get out.
and that's futile anyway
So
because there's not enough there. I don't think retail investors have enough capital even to do that even if they wanted to. Like it wasn't
yeah,
enough really to do it last June when everybody had a shitload of money to throw around. I mean, and I had to think that they knew that's part of it because they knew that that wasn't going to go on forever. Like they knew if the retail investors blew their load early, so to speak. I hate to be use that crude of a term, but if they shot their shot like in June and they threw it all at it and they went all in and they bought all these insanely expensive call options and whatnot, that's it. That's the end because you're not getting any more stimulus. You're not getting any more unemployment. That shit ran out not that long after June, you know, like at least in my state, the governor nixed it. So, by the way, too, that was the period when they were saying there was a labor shortage. Now, think about this. They said there was a labor shortage. They literally took unemployment payments away. They made people, go back to work, and I had to scramble. Like, I had been looking for a job. I didn't have one yet. And, I had a couple months where I didn't have anything coming in and it was rough. Not that I wasn't looking, but um That was the narrative. Labor shortage. Just, I don't know what, a year later, yet less than a year. Now we have this crazy inflation that that is squeezing people again. And I can't help but think that, boy, when all this inflation was really, when that inflation was in the oven, so to speak, and it was getting ready to pop. I mean, had some inflation, but this year really. I mean, the fucking fake ass labor shortage. I mean, contributed directly to that increased demand, increased wage pressure, all that shit that basically that made the inflation worse than it probably even had to be. Like, it doesn't make any sense. I can't wrap my head around that whole like turn of events. Like unemployment, no unemployment, labor shortage. Okay, everybody, people going back to work. Oh, now we have this crazy inflation. You know, I mean, we would have had it anyway just from the money supply and the supply chain stuff. But I mean, now we have the interest rate hikes to try to quell demand. I don't know. I just thought about that yesterday, and it was just like, wow. Okay, so that's kind of kind of a scam, but whatever. It's the system we live in. They could get away with it. So yeah, I mean, at a time when people could YOLO into GameStop 145 strike uh, call options, like, and people like Wrench Capital would point to the option chain and say, and this is absolutely fraudulent. Like, oh wow, look at the open interest on the 145s. This is a bullish development. Like, not really, because no pro is buying a 145 call like for next month in AMC when the price is like $40. That's retail investors YOLOing on the cheapest calls that are available. It's not bullish. I mean, it's not like it's not any meaningful type of bullish. So all I'm saying is that everybody, they spent their money then, and so if you could reasonably tell that, oh yeah, wow, retail dumped a ton of money into this. We know that they're not getting more money from the government. Why would you close your short position? That's all I'm saying. Like, why would it have happened then? Like, looking back, there's no way it would have happened then. It would have been stupid for them, for the shorts to potentially risk, you know, getting caught in a short squeeze when everybody was going to pour again anyway, and the price would go down. Like, it makes a lot of sense in hindsight. Are you there? Shadow Stars.
Yep, I'm still here.
Okay. Bad back. Are
Yep.
you there? I don't think he is. He's just listening, I guess, or maybe he's not listening. Yeah. What a man. What a fucking shit show. Oh, here. Can you explain something? Can you explain something? Like, what does it mean when the apes say that they set the price, they control the price of the squeeze, that they control the price that they're going to sell their shares at? And I know it's ridiculous, but like, we know this, but like, why is that such a ridiculous thing to say in your conception? Like, why does that make no sense?
I mean, because it all falls on the whole. Their thesis would be that they own basically all the float.
Right.
They think that they can set the price because there's all these people that are shorting the stock, And because there's more people shorting the stock than there's shares available that in the entire float, and all these naked shorts, that they have to buy it at whatever price that these apes choose to sell it. Yet they don't understand how, like, stuff like NBBO, National Best
Mm-hmm.
Bid Offer, like bid and offer, they don't understand that type of system where you have a buyer, you have a seller. When that number equals, that trade goes through.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I mean, just like anybody going to any store. I mean, it's a little different, but because the prices are, you know, fluid. But yeah, you go to a store and you see something for sale and you're like, oh, that's too expensive. I'm not going to buy it. That's what that's I mean, it's not that's just basically the same thing, except in the auction market model, the bid and offer price are, they can constantly change. Uh, in a store, it's usually doesn't change that fast, but yeah, so somebody would have to buy those shares at that price. And in their theory, they would be forced to because they would literally wouldn't sell them for any less than whatever they're asking for. But I mean, in the real world, like the apes don't own the float. I mean, that's just
Yeah,
a matter of like the numbers. And we saw what it looks like
I mean,
when
it's
more
absolutely
than the float is
ridiculous.
shorted with GameStop, and we haven't seen that on anything since. Like it's not like they would hide it. It wouldn't be hidden. It's not naked shorted. It's shares shorted multiple times, but that would be reflected in the numbers because it was reflected in the numbers in GameStop. So why so they just decided to naked short AMC so that it's not reported? I mean, it doesn't make any sense. And I don't they can't just decide to naked short it anyway, as like the brokers do the locating of the shares, not the market participant. They just submit a sell order. Okay. I want to get
I
one
mean, it's
last
not just a short sell.
right, right.
One quick thing is that it's not just the short squeeze wasn't just literally shorts getting squeezed. I mean, you had a combination, multiple combinations of factors.
Yes.
You had also
Yes.
a gamma ramp that occurred.
Well, yeah, right. And that's what I'm saying. Like it, it probably even wasn't a short squeeze. I mean, you saw short covering, but you didn't see. I mean, I don't remember. To be honest, I can't recall off the top of my head what the short interest went down to in early June of last year. I mean, it definitely dipped. Um, but it went back. It ended up going back up anyway. I mean, it was I forget. I mean, it didn't go down that much. And also, yeah, you had gamma because you had so many options, insane amount of options, and just volume of trading too, like 5, 6, 700 million shares traded in one day. Literally more than the float, which is also a big old nothing burger. They like to say, oh, AMC traded 63 times the number of shares in the float this year. It's like, okay, yeah, unlike the apes, a lot of people buy and sell stocks. They they complete their trades, and realize a loss or gain. So yeah, I mean, I wonder if the era of like short squeezes like that, especially in the connected era of Reddit and social media, is it even possible? Like practically speaking. I mean, I'm sure it is, but I think we see like short covering rallies more often. Like we see like instead of one massive like short squeeze and that's it, which it would never be anyway because people are going to be selling at the shorting at the top of that then. which is highly overpriced. So it's a continually evolving and rolling thing. It'll never be 0% short interest. They want the shorts to close their positions. Well, that's good. That's great. That's fine. You want somebody to do something. There's no basis for it. And it's just like, yeah, they decided last year that they've won for some reason because they've got put through so many trials and tribulations and 2008 even. I mean, like you can't make this shit up. Like it's literally, everything. Everything's connected to it. So they made that decision, and now they're trying to fit the square peg into the round peg into the square hole, or whichever way, with all these fake catalysts like tokenized shares, synthetic shares. Oh, by the way, that's what I wanted to ask you about. What do they even mean by synthetic shares, in your opinion? Because you've been following this, you know, right along the same time I have and everything. You've seen everything I have pretty much. What do they what's your best guess as to what is actually meant by synthetic shares? Or do you even have an opinion? Because
Honestly, I
like,
got no clue. Like, it makes no sense. Any number of even their low estimates of the number of synthetic shares makes no sense. Because think about, let's say, a billion synthetic shares. Who, who's who's the people buying all those shares? Where did all that money come from? Suddenly, retail was able to, let's say, put a $10 target on a per share for per share of AMC. At a billion, each share is $10, so $10 billion. So retail somehow came up with $10 billion out of thin air.
right.
Like, did everyone suddenly become fucking millionaires and they all started to buy shares of AMC?
Maybe they're
Like,
sleeper
what the
millionaires.
hell?
Yeah, I
Like,
don't know.
think about it logically. Like,
Yeah.
think about it logically. Where is the money coming from?
And if you go
Like,
the other
you had
way,
to have bought it then.
right, because they had to have bought it because they say they own the float, but that's not the part of the float. It would be extra shares. But I mean, anyway, they say that they own everything, but the data doesn't show that. I mean, we know what institutions buy and sell. Big institutions that have to report their holdings every quarter. We didn't see anything that. I mean, we didn't see anything that would have hinted at like something adding up to more than the float ever that I remember. Like, unless you look at that one website, Stock Ninja or whatever it's called, where it literally says that institutions own 125% of the float. I mean, that's another problem right there. Shit data from these fly by night financial analysis websites, stockninja.io. I wonder if it still shows that, by the way. That's ridiculous. It literally had, I don't know
And
if you've seen that.
a lot of it is poor reporting. It's
Yeah.
the poor reporting of data. I mean, not
Well,
only like even the data that the SEC shares, it's flawed because there's typos and stuff. But
yeah,
on top of that, there's like websites like Stock.io or whatever
yeah,
those, or even Fintel, like they have this bot or whatever that downloads the data and pushes it out, but they don't
not,
have a
there's no
proper
human,
system that filters out the bad
right?
data.
Yeah, right. And this is even worse. This is even worse than that because it literally they literally added like multiple quarters worth of 13Fs into this. Where is it here? Okay, maybe they fixed it. Top 222 institutional holders of AMC own 23% of the company with a total of 122 million shares. Now, that might be low though, because if you look down here or on this little thing, okay, now they only have one entry for each one now, so it looks like they may have fixed it. Vanguard, Black, yeah, because there were multiple entries before. They would literally have Vanguard with like 49 million, and then there would be another Vanguard underneath it that would be like previous quarter, and it looks like they've cleaned it up maybe into one entry per institution. Like, just ridiculous, like the most basic of shit. Like, how can you, because it would have multiple entries in this pie chart too. So, institutional holders increased their ownership. I don't know if that's true or not. I mean, I saw that institutions reduced their ownership. Oh, yeah, average of 14%. So
It all falls because people don't understand the data that they're looking at. They don't
that's true
understand the
too.
numbers.
That's true too. Yeah,
Like you need the context of what are these numbers that I'm
what is it
looking at?
actually
What does
telling
it
you?
mean?
Right. And you know who,
Yeah.
that Peter Hahn guy, right? Last year, I made a video calling him out because he's supposedly some financial guy from Canada, like a manager, an investment manager of a pension fund or something. I question whether he's even real, but he, um, started up with the FUD about, oh, institutions are increasing their positions, like in like I don't know, some point in the Q3, and he's looking at Q2 numbers. Like, you do realize, like, okay, Q2 13Fs are coming out like what, 45 days after the end of the quarter, I think. So a month and a half later
Yep.
into Q3, then you get to know what they held on the last day of Q2. That's all it says. You've had a month and a half elapse in between that day and when you get the information about that day, a month and a half before. So to sit there and say that institutions have increased their position, as if that applies to now, again, like that goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Is that negligence? Does he not know? Or is he intentionally misrepresenting the filing? Either way, somebody who claims to be a financial advisor is doing that. I mean, what do you do with that? Like, no, and everybody just accepts it because, yeah, they want to believe, yeah, institutions are loading the boat too. That must mean something's coming. And it's just like, yeah, but this person claims to be a financial professional and they're giving you completely misleading false information. It's just like, I had my doubts about that guy, but that was like the last straw. Like, holy shit. Like, I mean, I don't know who this person is or what they're trying to do, but that is some bullshit. Like, it's invalid. Like, you can't do that. Uh,
It's the whole correlation and causation. Like they just
true.
don't understand.
No,
Like
it's a
if
lot.
if an institution is increasing or decreasing their holdings, like you don't know why. Like you need
You
to
you
dig
don't know
into
why. Yeah.
for what reason why is that position changing? Is it because they're basing it on some sort of ETF? Does it follow the index?
Well, yeah. I
So
mean,
if
if you
AMC is
look at
part
the
of the
top
Russell
three,
1000, like
you look at the top three, it's Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. I mean, at least Vanguard and State Street run multiple ETFs. So, of course, some of that, like it's going to be relative to that. It's like they don't provide any context. You're 100% correct. Not to mention, they represent last quarter's filings as if it has anything to do with now. And like, you could see that on the goddamn chart last year. Like, what was it? Let's see, 6 September? No, I forget. Anyway, yeah, like the chart was showing like this real steep sell-off, or I forget which, I think it was a steep sell-off. But that was at the time when, yeah, because what is it? 9, 10, no, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. So July, August, September. I forget exactly which one it was, but like, yeah, it was the beginning of a quarter and it was like dumping, yet they were sitting there saying that institutions increased their positions. Like, okay, maybe they did last quarter as of the end of last quarter, but you have a major sell-off happening now. Let's wait until 4.5 months later when we get this quarter's filings and see what they held. Like it just does not compute at all. Model 3 dude says FTDs are fake shares. FTDs are fake. That's a whole other thing. FTDs. Oh my God. The biggest thing that I, in my head, like to disprove the whole FTD thing, is that FTDs happen in the settlement and clearing process, which is 2 days later after the trade is booked. So, I mean, like, whatever the trade was that was matched with another order is done. It's completed. You know, it as far as anybody's concerned, the trade went through uh, normally, and the money and everything exchanged hands. And if you bought it, you forked over the money. The the FTD happens in the back end, in the back office, when you know they there isn't something to match it. There isn't something to actually deliver, or there isn't. Uh, there's a deficiency there. But as far as the price impact, the price action impact, that's already happened. That happens in the book when the orders are matched and you deplete, you get through one line goes away and it goes to the next line. That's how your price moves. The FTD has nothing to do with that. It's literally delivery. It's not purchasing. So it really makes no sense. The whole focus on FTDs has just been a complete red herring as far as I'm concerned. And as far as everything I've learned about it, it's nothing. It's a nothing burger. And that T plus 35, total nonsense. When you look at the FTD numbers, they don't wait 35 days. They never, I mean, why would they? Like, it just makes no sense. None. Not to mention, I mean, it's like it's part of the market. It happens.
I mean, when
So,
you look at the volume of shares that are trading, like somehow it doesn't register in their brains that, oh, you know what? They could have been covering their positions at this point.
hmm
Like if that many shares of whatever 10x the float has traded hands on that day, well, you could be pretty damn sure some people sold, some people bought, and shorts covered their positions.
yeah, yeah.
I
Well,
mean,
yeah, I mean,
you think all the volume is all buying? Like, come on.
right, right.
There's
Yeah.
a lack of understanding just like the basic concepts of how the stock market operates.
Oh, yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, and we've talked about that before, and I think you and I talked about that before. Like, you know, yeah, they were told early on in this thing, use limit orders, don't use market orders, use limit orders. And I mean, I wonder if that, like maybe it didn't make a difference, but I mean, the short selling and short covering is all that's all as far as I know, and it's all happening with market orders. Like that's why the price moves so much. Like because it's like, all right, we're going to submit this order, or cover this many shares, or the computer is going to do it based on whatever criteria, and it's just going to blast through and run the shares. Like it's not worried about, oh, I have to, I want to get a good price. The point is to like cover them and to close a position and take the profit. So, like that's, as far as I know, that's why, it will disregard like support and resistance lines. They'll just go through it, because there's a shitload of shares that are out there that are sent in market orders that are aggressive orders, whereas it seems like the apes have basically, like they thought, were told market orders are bad and that you should use limit orders so you can, whatever, control the price that you get or whatever. Um, but as a result, it's probably not enough shares anyway to make a difference. I mean, at one point there probably was that were traded, but I mean, they cry about their orders not their orders not affecting the market, you know, but they're using an order type that's not putting pressure, on the actual like bid and offer that are, the NBBO that's at the top. And this is like that what you were saying, like with the basic uh mechanics of the stock market, how it works. Like I don't even think most people, a lot of people probably don't know that stuff, but they don't focus on that either. Like they don't focus on, oh, we're trying to we're trying to manipulate the price and it won't move. What? Makes no sense. Makes no sense. Let's see. Um, oh, if we're curious, we can look up what's happening with metamaterials and oh, it's too
Another
small.
sad story of bag holders galore.
Oh God. Yeah, you're not kidding on that. MMTLP and John Berda's 12/12 appearance on Fox News. Oh, yeah, I'll be sure to head over to Fox News and look at that. I mean, if there's any, if there's any propaganda, mainstream propaganda outlet that'll steer you in the right direction, it's Fox News. Yeah.
Or any news,
What happened?
to
Yeah,
be
what happened to
honest.
Charles Payne?
They all have their own
Oh yeah,
bias.
absolutely. Yeah, and I'm not picking on the Fox News thing. Um, I feel like Bloomberg is. I mean, I can actually stand Bloomberg. I like Bloomberg. Um, in the mornings, but they're talking about financial stuff. They're not talking about like current events, unless it affects things or whatever. Um, but yeah, I mean, mainstream media propaganda, especially in stock, like trading stocks. I mean, I think everybody maybe goes through the like, oh, I'm going to trade off the news thing. Um, like what I see in the news or read in the news or see on TV or whatever. And that usually doesn't work out too well. I mean, sometimes, but uh, like the mainstream media is too far down the chain. It's too far down the river. Like it's too late at that point, probably. Or it's bad news and you get short covering. That's my favorite. But it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. It makes total sense that would happen. Okay. I'm going to give you the last word here. If you have anything to say or your final comments or anything as far as what we've talked about here with the Atlas trading thing or any of the other stuff, because I got to get out of here and I think you do too. So We have to work tomorrow.
Yeah, we've been on for a while.
Yeah. I
Yep.
said I wasn't going to be on
I
long
mean,
tonight. Here we
to
are.
wrap it. I think for me to wrap it up, I mean, we got a lot of folks, nefarious folks, um, in the social media atmosphere, whether it's people on Reddit, Twitter, FinTwit, StockTwit, whatever it's called. I mean, a lot of these nefarious people that's spreading out all sorts of misinformation. You finally got some people the SEC is coming after. We'll see what happens. I'm honestly not too hopeful these convictions will stick, but I mean,
Hmm.
it's better than nothing. A lot of these AMC folks, they need to get investigated, and then for them to pay big fines for all their terrible actions, I think.
Hmm.
But I doubt it'll ever happen. But nonetheless, people pumping this terrible company called AMC. I hope that they lose their money. I mean, I don't care what with their money, but I mean, them pumping this shit stock is it's not helping anyone.
No.
I really want the whole meme stock saga to close its page. I'm done with it. I kind of want things to go back to normal. Like
Yeah.
let's do proper trading.
Yeah.
But while this continues to go on, the drama has been funny. Although sometimes got crazy actors. We'll see how it goes in the
Right.
end. I just
Yeah.
hope that the stock market returns to normal, and we can make some money off of it.
Yeah. Amen. All right.
That's it for me.
All right, man. Thanks for coming in and chatting. It's great. So
Thanks for
we'll do it again soon.
yep. Thanks for having me, man. See
Anytime.
everyone next time.
All right. Have a good night. So I would agree with that. So it seems like maybe I don't know. I always say this and then it ends up just being the same. So grain of salt, but this is a new development. It's a new development. The SEC is always going after somebody that they're always doing something. But this one hits a little bit closer. Not on the bullseye, but a little bit closer. Um, so we'll see what happens. That's all we can do. In any case, yeah, I'm like losing my train of thought here. At least I'm not falling asleep. Anyway, um, well, come to the end, and we had some haters in here tonight. It looks like I'm scrolling back to the chat here and looking here. See, oh yeah, right. It was go after soft targets and low. Oops, let me. Oops.